Oh my God, Steve, help!
What?
I've just noticed that I am nude from the pants up. What am I to do?
Wow, you're Putin it.
Exactly, yeah. I'm getting that rock and roll Putin look, and I'm just not fond of it. My nipples are exposed, as well as my chest hair.
Let me tell you, Ben, this is very fortunate for you, because today's show is sponsored by Clairvoyant Clothing.
Oh my God, Clairvoyant Clothing? That sounds like something I could probably find on Instagram.
Why, you could, at Clairvoyant Clothing Company.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. What are they going to do for me to help me with my upper nudity situation? Upper nudity. Well, Ben, Clairvoyant Clothing is a horror and occult-themed casual clothing brand. They offer large, eye-catching designs, as well as small chest pocket prints, and even plain black tees, if that's more your style. Oh, man. You know what? I formerly was really into plain white tees, but I'm past that phase now. But, Steven, I don't have tons of money in my pocket right now. Whatever am I to do? Are these expensive?
Wow. Ben, T-shirts and tank tops start at just $16.66.
That's the pricing of the beast.
The pricing of the beast. And sizes range from small to 3XL. So there's something for every gender, size, and shape.
I'll take mine in extra medium.
That's the mediumest.
The most medium of all. Wow, that's utterly fantastic, Steve. This is really going to help me get myself in line and get myself presentable to the public, because I really want to go to Benihana. They got that sign up front that says I got to wear a shirt. What's up with that bullshit?
I know, it's crazy. I don't know. Free the nipple, I say.
Exactly right.
There you go.
I don't know what might be their best sellers. I might want to choose a popular one.
Well, they sent us their two best sellers, the Death Tarot card design and the Uncle Satan Wants You vintage poster design. They're best sellers. We put them on. I was digging it. Nice shirt, nice design. And we took some pictures. So you can go check out our Instagram, see what they look like.
All the cool kids are doing it.
And exclusive. Boom. Stop the fucking presses, everyone. They're offering a discount to Dead and Lovely listeners.
People listening to this show get a discount?
Yeah. Just go to clairvoyantclothing.com and use the coupon code Dead and Lovely. That's all one word, Dead and Lovely, for 6% off your order.
Oh my Lord, that's absolutely fantastic. Go check out Clairvoyant Clothing and start looking like one of the cool kids right now.
Woo! Little Tim.
Welcome, Dead and Lovely listeners, to the rootinest, the tootinest.
That's true.
And shootinest.
Oh boy.
Horror movie podcast in all the multiverse and beyond. Why, it's Dead and Lovely here with the host with the most. It is I, the one what is known as Uncle Ben. And who is that in that chair across from me?
It's me, Cowboy Steve.
Oh my Lord almighty, it's you, Cowboy Steve.
I just came in from rustling some beeves.
Yeah, rustling them up?
Yeah.
How's them beefs doing these days?
They moo and fart.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That tends to be what they do.
Yeah.
You ever seen one of those laying on the ground? Do you call that a ground beef? That's old cow joke right there.
Yeah, that's an old cowboy joke. Cowboy dad jokes.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're in such just a stomping, rootin' tootin' Western mood because we just watched ourselves a Bone Tomahawk.
That's
what we're going to be talking about on the show today.
It's a damn old Western.
It's a damn old Western. Let me ask you this, Steve.
Uh-huh.
Considering that we call all these movies what are about cowboys and the frontier and stuff like that, we call those Westerns.
Yeah.
How come we don't call all them Kurosawa flicks about samurais Easterns?
I don't know.
It's an Eastern.
Though Kurosawa's Seven Samurai is...
turned into a Western.
Turned into a Western. So, yeah.
From east to west.
From east to west, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know why we don't call them Easterns.
I don't know about that. Huh. I'll tell you what, though, Steve. I just got back from the eastern coast of the United States.
What?
That's a segue right there. That's what we call one of them professional transitions. Yeah, segue it's called. Yeah, we just got back from being right near the beach. Boy. You knew that was
Did you
coming.
take the lime and the coconut and put them both together?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
It was decent. It was all right.
Yeah.
I stayed pretty wasted the whole time.
Yeah, that's fun.
It was great. It was really fantastic.
Yeah. That's what the beach is for.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like,
you reach this point in your life where when you're a kid and you're thinking about doing nothing, you're like, there's nothing to do. This sucks. It's so boring.
Right.
But then when you get to, later on in life, when you do everything all the time, nothing sounds so exotic and interesting. It's
doing
like, I can
nothing.
just sit.
Can you imagine having to go on vacation and taking children who want to do stuff the whole time?
Oh, my Lord. They always want to do things.
Oh,
What's
man.
with them kids always wanting to do stuff?
I don't know.
This actually might have been the most nothing I have ever crammed into a week.
That's awesome.
This might have been an all-time laziest vacation.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm so stoked. It was exactly like the battery recharge that I need.
Yeah.
Because the past month or so for me has just been
crazy.
I mean, sheer insanity.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And even the night before we left for the beach, I had a Skankbanger show the night before.
Yeah.
Where I got way unintentionally drunk. Very fun. My plan was backstage green room. It's like, okay, I'll go ahead and get myself a good buzz on, and then I'll just be dry the rest of the show. Right. That way I'm good.
That's
I'll
how
be ready
those shows go.
That's not how they go.
No, it's not.
It's not at all how they go. Shots just started fucking raining upon the stage.
Yeah.
And it got a little trill twisted.
I bet.
Straight up trill.
Straight up.
Yeah. So it was pretty grueling waking up the next morning and heading to the beach. I was zombified. I wasn't hungover, strangely.
Well,
I was
that's
just
good.
so fucking tired.
Yeah.
So this week I sat on the beach with kith and kin, family and friends.
Sounds fun.
And it was fantastic. And I'll tell you what I drank a whole lot of.
What's that?
I drank a swarm of my signature homemade jalapeno and pineapple margaritas.
This thing you've been talking about for so long.
Wouldn't you want to know about it?
I've never even had one.
You've never had one?
Never had one.
Well, how about I make a deal with you, Steve?
Make me a deal.
How about on next week's show?
What's that?
We spend some time sipping on some.
Hell yeah.
And how about after we go on and on about how goddamn fantastic and delicious they are, what if we released a Patreon-only video where people can see how I make something?
That sounds awesome to me.
They can get them a pull at home.
Get you a pull.
What do you think about that?
One of them jalapeno margs.
Available to, let's just say, Patreon followers at any level. Because we love y'all.
Sure.
Y'all are way better than we deserve.
Yeah. We just had the drawing for the Patreon $5 a month subscribers.
That's right.
And,
$5 a month means that you can put in a submission that we draw every now and then to choose a user-submitted episode.
Yeah, and we actually randomly selected The Mist, which 2 people suggested, so it was in there twice, so it did have more of an opportunity, I guess. Same thing happened last month with 28 Days Later, and guys, these are actual random drawings.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
There were actually a couple of titles that were in there more than once. People recognized we can up the possibility of them doing that movie if I also suggest it.
That's correct. That's correct, Amundo. So very fun stuff. We'll do a Patreon video on that for you guys.
Oh yeah,
week.
you'll have seen that before you hear this episode, probably.
Ooh yeah. And I'm gonna tell you what. While I sat there on the beach, I did basically jack shit. I sat under an umbrella. I'm an extremely pale person. You can see the glorious tan.
Oh boy, you are just what
just
would you
a
call
bronze
that?
beauty.
I'd say more of a marshmallow that was sat near a fire.
Around one.
Around a fire.
Might we call my skin tone papyrus?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Just baking on the shores of the Nile.
Honestly, I can't sit in the sun at all. You've noticed before, I wear
you get
long
that skin
sleeves
rash
in the
scenario.
summer. Yeah, I get a skin rash. So the best option tends to be long sleeves because even when I put sun lotion on, there's always just a tiny little sliver that somehow doesn't get enough on it, and it takes no time for me to get a skin rash. So
it's awful, man.
It's the worst.
It's awful. So basically what we do whenever Kate and I are on the beach is we sit under an umbrella the entire time, wearing like shirts and cover-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of sunblock, I actually opt for unused kabuki makeup.
Well, that'll do it. That'll keep the sun off you
Exactly.
for sure.
It's pretty much spackle.
Yeah.
we have this 100 SPF like sunblock that we use for our faces and stuff. It's pretty much like trying to rub Elmer's glue into your skin. It's basically like a liquid shirt.
That's awesome.
It's the shirt that you rub into your face.
I when I was 18 or so, I took some Elmer's glue and put my hair in the
little Liberty
spikes. Yeah.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, it was great.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that washes out pretty easily.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah. So I had it for like a week and a half.
Oh, God. That's way too long to be Liberty spiking.
Yeah, they were like starting to mat up. I was like, all right, I'm going to have to wash this shit out.
So while I sat there on the beach wearing my full geisha makeup that I was in, I basically just sat there and listened to music and read some book.
That's awesome.
I'm going to tell you about it.
Tell me about some books.
So I read 2 books.
2 books?
Yeah, one book was The Hidden Art of Fucking Up.
Okay.
By the Try Guys.
The Try Guys, yes.
From the YouTube, who
I just watched
I very much enjoy.
Try Guys video yesterday.
Which one?
Keith tried everything from Pizza Hut.
I watched that last night as well, and it was a delight. I think he was high as fuck.
He seemed pretty fucked up by the end, which
Yeah.
I was thinking the whole time he was taking too many bites because Pizza Hut
Sodium bomb, dude.
and
Oh,
they
God.
coat the bottom of the pan in just lard.
Yeah, margarine,
That's how it comes
probably.
out so like browned and crisp on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't eat that much Pizza Hut.
No, Yeah, he seemed really out of it by the end of it. It was fantastic.
How was the book?
The book is good, man. The book is good. It's all kind of about like how you can learn so much by fucking up.
Yeah.
Which is the key. I mean, if you're not falling down, you ain't learning anything.
I'm surprised how that message isn't something everybody knows.
I know, right?
It really is surprising. I remember I said to my niece one time, she said she wasn't very good at something, and I was like, well, that's how you get better, is being bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just surprising to her. She was like, what do you mean? Like, you can't get good at something by being bad at it. And I was like, you can't get good at something by not doing it either.
That too, man. That
you
too.
do it, and you're bad at it, and you're bad at it until one day you're all right at it.
Pretty much
and
it.
then you're better at it, and then you're good at it.
Yeah.
So just fuck up. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
It's the way to do it. Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
You know? I also read You Deserve a Drink by Memory Heart, another YouTuber.
Okay.
For some reason,
You're all over the
reading
YouTuber game.
Apparently, that's what I'm doing right now, I guess. Dude, her book is fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. It's basically all just like, yeah, she'll have like a little drink recipe and then tell a story that kind of inspired the drink recipe or whatever.
Oh.
Hysterical.
Awesome.
Like, I was sitting on the beach just fucking laughing out loud. God, dude, it was fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. It was really, really, really funny. So
Okay.
I enjoyed that very much. One night we had a little bit of time to watch a movie,
Oh, man, a motion picture?
a motion picture.
All right.
And of course, we chose the best motion picture to watch.
That train coming at the screen.
Okay, it's one that came a little later than that great train crash. That was so scary.
Great train robbery? Is that what it was?
Train wreck or
Was it
something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
People freaked out, though.
Listen, Point Break.
Okay. That's a little bit later than
A little later
Yeah.
in the movie game than that.
old Catherine Bigelow.
That's right. Bam
Yeah.
Bam Bigelow's sister.
Catherine Bam Bam Bigelow. If I ever get to introduce Catherine Bigelow for any reason,
Yeah.
I'm saying that. I
Catherine
don't care what
Bam
it loses
Bam
me.
Bigelow. And of course, it's got our boy Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
It's got a Patrick Swayze.
Uh-huh.
I forgot I had Lori Petty in it.
That's true. She
And
is also
Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Kiedis.
Dubba 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 scubba dabba dibba.
California.
That guy. I don't think he said California once in the whole movie.
What?
Yeah, I don't think he did. Kind of disappointing now that I think
That
about
is
it.
disappointing.
That movie's awesome.
It
That
is a
movie's
great movie.
fucking great. It's like so dumb, so homoerotic.
Yeah.
What a bromance.
Yeah.
And it's also fantastic, and I love it. It's also got a Gary Busey in it
Oh, yeah. With his teeth.
with him and his teeth.
Yeah.
He brought like
All of them.
most all of them. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah. You can bring all of them. They don't fit on screen.
No.
No. Gotta leave some teeth back in the trailer.
Leave him back there, Gary. Jesus. So fun. What a good watch. And also basically spent the entire time listening to the 2 new Car Bomb songs on repeat.
I don't know what those are.
Car Bomb
What
is
Car Bomb?
this crazy fucking band. You actually might get into them because I
Okay.
remember you saying how you jam some of that Dillinger stuff while you're like
Yeah.
working out. Car Bomb is like Dillinger plus Meshuggah plus I like quantum physics. I have no
Okay.
idea. Car Bomb is
Throw that down.
unfucking
Yeah,
believable, dude.
that's the real workout music. If you're working out to anything else, you're just not. You're not working out to your extreme, man.
Gotta get extreme, bro.
You gotta be in there like grunting.
Dude, this stuff will get you powered up. You're going to put it on, it'll be like, power up.
I do genuinely hate the guys who grunt super loud.
Yeah.
But whenever I do deadlifts, I'm grunting pretty loud.
Yeah, of course.
Because how you got to get that pain out somehow, right?
That's right. Get the pain out.
For me, it's more of
Reminds me of my honeymoon.
I'm trying to hold this back.
That
also
reminds me of
my
my
honeymoon.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Steve, I took some Hollywood Steve advice
Did
while I was
you?
sitting out there on the beach.
What'd you do?
Because I was talking about how I did nothing, but I have, in a sense, lost my ability to fully relax for long periods of time.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah, so around
Everything that I'm doing, even if I'm trying to relax, I'm like, oh, how could I turn this into something?
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe around like Wednesday or Thursday, I reached a point where I was like, okay, I've got all this time. I need to be using my brain for something. So I was like, you know what? It's been way too long since I put out an installment of my flagship series, This Is Why You Suck at Guitar.
Oh, yeah?
On the YouTube. Those always get all the hits. The kids love them.
They love that.
I love putting them
They love
out.
being told why they suck at guitar.
I love telling them why, Steve.
They say, Uncle Ben, hurt me, Daddy.
Yeah.
It's
they do.
confusing, Uncle and Daddy.
But it's
whatever.
consensual.
It is. It's true.
It's role play.
Uh-huh.
So I was sitting out there on the beach and I was like, boy,
Uh-huh.
I don't have my big time guitar, man.
So, did you have an acoustic?
Actually, I did bring a guitar with me.
Okay.
But not on the beach.
I was going to say,
not on the beach.
I don't totally believe you didn't have a guitar with you.
But I was thinking, it's like I need to get some work done. I need to kind of figure out how this episode of This Is Why You Suck is going to go. So do you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I wrote the shitty version.
Yeah. All right.
I did exactly what you're talking about. Because sometimes, like, whenever I'm doing videos, a lot of the stuff that ends up on camera is just off the cuff, of course. Yeah. But sometimes it helps me to have a rough outline. So, I sat down and it's like, it can be kind of intimidating. It's like, I've got 35,000 people watching. People of these videos. It's got to be right.
Yeah.
You can kind of get that writer's block thing. But when I'm just like, you know what? I'll just sit down and write the shitty version of this. And then once I figure out what's shitty about it, then I can sculpt it up.
The cool thing about
it helps
doing
so
that
much. Because here's the thing. I did it right. I was like, I'm going to write the shitty version. And then I wrote it. I was like,
that's actually not shitty.
Well, yeah, it's like, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Because when you make it and you're like, this isn't great, it's like, yeah, but that's what you set out to do.
Yeah.
It's such a great first step.
It is. And what happens, I think, for people like us, I'd say we're both perfectionists. My wife would definitely say I'm a perfectionist. So,
in the bedroom.
In the bedroom. She would say that, yeah. She'd be like, he makes the bed, he
fluffs the pillows.
Yeah. The thing is that for us, I think the hard part is making yourself do the shitty version.
Yeah.
The easy part then is critiquing yourself.
Yeah.
That's the real easy part once you've done the shitty, if you're a perfectionist, is to be like, oh, I need to fix that, I need to fix that, I need to fix that. But then there's also stuff in there where you're like, that's fine. I maybe punch that up, or maybe I could say exactly this, you get some good stuff out of it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, and it's one of those things that I can look back on my life and see that this has been such a lifelong, like, I don't know if you'd call it habit of mine or just tendency. I don't know. But it's just like that drive for like perfection all the time. Like, you know how artists have sketchbooks and stuff? When I was a kid, I didn't have a sketchbook.
Right.
I had an entire book. It was I'd get these 100-page whatever drawing pads. And you know what would be in there? 100 drawings.
Yeah. Completed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no attempts along the way.
No, exactly. It's like, you know how they have those step-by-step drawing books where it's like, first draw 2 circles like a snowman, and then you connect them, all the steps to make a bird or whatever. Yeah. I would just skip to the last page and be like, I'll just draw this.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been so bad at sketching. And even when it comes time, like, when we're recording and stuff, it's like, oh, just make a demo. Just lay down something shitty. I can't.
Yeah.
I have to lay it down in a way that makes me listen to it and I'm, like, inspired and pumped up.
Yeah.
But in reality, if I just set out to make the shitty demo, I could get it done so fast.
You skip a bunch of the steps of perfectionism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, too, when you're looking at a song or a piece of art, it's like, if the shitty version is okay, then great. When you polish it up, it's going to be fucking killer.
Yeah. You really can polish a turd.
Yeah, you really, really can. So, yeah, thanks for the tip. It really works. Awesome. I can confirm. Testimonial.
Now you can all buy my system for 3 easy installments of $49.95. I'll tell you things like this. Hey, if you're having trouble writing, Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
sit down with the paper.
I mean, if you're having writer's
It does
block,
work.
just keep writing.
Keep going.
Just keep writing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's about what you were writing before. Just write whatever comes to your head. Just do it. Just
Sometimes
keep
that works.
fucking writing, and then you'll be like, "Oh man, why am I just writing over and over? I don't know what to write. I should probably think of something to write." And you kind of force yourself into a corner, and it works.
There you go. Well, Steve, enough about me. God damn, here I am hogging the fucking spotlight.
Hey, I get it.
Like some kind of beautiful, gorgeous tan man. I got my hair all done with those braids and stuff too while I was at the beach.
That's true.
It was
I do
really
like
fun.
that you did that.
I have shells in my hair right now.
Yep.
The audience can't hear them, but here they are. They're clicking together. Those are the shells in my hair.
I like that you put the Playboy bunny tattoo on your tummy, so you'd have
Yeah,
a little...
exactly. The reverse tan kind of thing. Yeah, I look hot as hell. I know. What about you, Steve? What have you been doing this week? You been up to anything good while I've been down at the beach?
Well, I was sick when we recorded.
Sick, dude.
I was sick, bruh. When we recorded Alien. And I was sick for a little while after.
Oh, man.
I actually ended up being sick for a total of 9 days.
It was just that kind of chest thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think like 75% of people in Tennessee have had this this summer, and it sucks balls.
My wife also dealt with it around the time that I was done. So that sucked for
Trading
us both.
off. We're doing the thing that I was going through where it's like it's hard to sleep because you just cough all night.
Yeah. So I was exhausted the whole time. And I also couldn't work out because I was sick, so I wasn't getting like that energy infusion working out. And, like I ended up just watching a bunch of stuff and sleeping a whole lot and getting the bare minimum done every day.
Right
it
on.
sucked, but it got me through it.
Well, apparently bodies, whenever they're sick, need to like be still.
It's the worst, right?
Yeah.
They're so demanding.
I don't know why we can't multitask.
I was probably sick for longer because I did try to force myself to do a lot of work and shit.
Yeah. Why can't I work and rest at the same time? Intelligent design, my ass.
Right?
My ass.
But I ended up watching a whole bunch of stuff. My wife and I watched the Haunting of Hill House series on Netflix, which we have already done. We did a mini-sode
we did a
on
mini-sode
long ago.
on that thing. How was it the second time around?
I liked it better the second time.
Yeah?
I thought it was better the second time around.
You know, I didn't love it.
I know you didn't love it. I liked it okay. Second time around, I'd say it's pretty good. It's pretty good, pretty well written, and I'm interested in what they're going to do with the second season because they're
doing a second season.
Yeah, but it's an anthology series like American Horror Story.
Oh, okay.
My wife and I also recognize just how similar the first season of Haunting of Hill House is to the first season of American Horror Story.
Okay.
So there may have been drawing a little inspiration off of an already successful horror anthology series.
All right.
But I really appreciated the characterization. The acting was never in question for me.
It's very good.
I said it was great. The children are not great all the time, but I mean the older ones are, but the two little kids, their line delivery would be off a little sometimes. But apparently they nailed that one episode that was like 5 total takes.
Oh yeah, the really long takes episode. Yeah.
Apparently the kids nailed that.
Wow.
Like, the adults had more trouble with their lines than the kids, so maybe they're better than I thought.
Well, I do look forward to watching a second season and just seeing what all it's about and seeing what they can do with this kind of format.
They're bringing in a lot of the same actors. It's the same thing they did with American Horror Story.
Oh.
They'll be playing different characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it still going to be like about a house?
I assume it's still going to be about, a haunted house or something like that.
Right
Maybe
on.
even the same house. It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a try whenever it does come out, man. Oh,
Yeah.
real quick. Did you see the trailer for The Lighthouse?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
No way, really?
I wanted to watch it, but it also is one of those things where I just kind of want to go in there not knowing at all what I'm about to get into. It's what happened with The Witch for me, where it was just like, I hear it's good. I don't want to know anything about it. I watched it and I'm just like blown away by everything that's happening.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you, it's
I've
one of
seen
those things.
some pictures.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
If you did decide to watch the trailer, you still will not have any idea of what it's about.
Okay.
I have no fucking clue
Great.
what's going on with it, but I am so stoked. Willem Dafoe sounds like a grizzled old pirate and just looks like shit.
And also in this movie, he does
And
that.
also in the movie, he looks great. I cannot wait for it. Okay, so after you watched Haunting of Hill House, what else did you catch?
I've been watching, or rewatching, rather, Penn and Teller's Bullshit.
I've seen a few of these. When did that series come out? It's been a minute.
It started in, I believe, 2003 or so.
Wow, that old.
Yeah, and
God
went to
damn.
about 2010. I watched some of it whenever it was first on. It was a Showtime show, and when I got back from Russia, my mom inexplicably had Showtime, and I think I caught it one of my first nights back, and I was like, "Oh, this is a pretty cool show." So I would watch it whenever it came on. And going back and watching it, I know why I liked it, because I like informative shows. Like I love Mythbusters, I love Adam Ruins Everything. Like I like shows that try to really break down a concept to its core and show you the truth.
Yeah, like This Is Why You Suck at Guitar.
Yeah,
Exactly like that.
Yeah. Penn and Teller's bullshit is still good. You just have to go into it knowing that they are libertarians and they are presenting a libertarian view and have admitted to having a libertarian bias on the show. So that was an issue for me, is if you know going into it that they're going to have a libertarian bias, how much truth are they actually giving?
And that's by no means like a knock on libertarians in particular. I mean, you could say the same thing. Any biased
I only
source.
really respect progressives and libertarians because they both believe in people. Libertarians, or at least the ones that believe in true libertarianism, believe in people. They believe that people will do the right thing and they don't have to be told, and they don't need to be coddled by a government.
I'm getting more and more fond of cats and dogs these days.
Is that right?
Yeah. Kitties and puppies, I like them better.
Yeah, I respect them too. Yeah.
So they're a little bit biased when you on the rewatch on this, right?
Yeah, on some issues.
Okay.
On some issues, but I think a lot of times what they do is, instead of trying to focus on the full issue, they focus on the element where their libertarian view actually does kind of help comprehend what's going on. Like the war on drugs. Penn Jillette, he is absolutely avowed straight edger. He has never done any drugs, never drank any alcohol.
Whoa.
But he is absolutely for the legalization of all drugs.
Wow.
Because for him, his viewpoint in the show is, it costs me tax dollars for no reason, and people are dying for no reason. And so it's immoral. Basically, the government is taking money from you and killing people with it.
Well,
And if you disagree with that, you don't get a choice in the matter.
when you put it that way, when you put it that way, I can't really argue with that.
So yeah, I mean, my view would be drugs should be legal because there's no fucking reason why they should be illegal. Like, yeah, they kill people, but so does alcohol, and it's legal. Like, I get that heroin could become an addiction, but we can regulate it. We can make it safer. We can make it so that people aren't out on the street doing it.
I mean, we're already seeing in a lot of bigger cities and stuff, these like shoot up stations and stuff.
And they do tend to help lower crime.
Which I know is one of those things that, like, I know a lot of people have this knee jerk, like, well, what the fuck? You're just encouraging people to do it.
No, you're encouraging
Not
them to do
really.
it safely.
Yeah,
they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, because, I mean, I have friends that live in, like, Philadelphia has a gigantic heroin problem.
Yeah.
Like, huge. And I hear people talking about how it's like they have warnings to not wear fucking open-toed shoes on the streets because there's heroin needles everywhere.
That I lived in Chelyabinsk, Russia, and they have a huge. They're on the border of Kazakhstan.
Oh yeah,
and
a lot of opium
ton
production out there.
of heroin comes through there, and yeah, we'd just be walking in the park, and there'd be piles of needles.
I mean, good God, dude. Yeah, I would rather some of my money go to people having a safe place to shoot up and dispose of their needles and use clean needles and shit.
Yeah.
Rather than leaving that shit on the street, using dirty needles and then getting sicker, and then that becomes more of a burden on taxpayers.
Way more of a burden.
I mean, whatever. You know, would I rather them not be on heroin? Sure.
Well, yeah, I'd rather all people not have to deal with addiction.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great.
I also
know that's not going to happen.
I'm not their nanny. Like, I'm not here to make sure everybody does the exact right thing all the time. Mm-hmm. I just think, and this is an area where I can agree with libertarians. I think that you get a better result out of people by trusting them to make the right decision.
Right.
Where it falls down for me is when a libertarian says there shouldn't be regulations on industry because they've proven time and time again they cannot be trusted.
They'll make the decision that makes them money. Yes. That's all that they'll do. Yeah.
Corporations don't deserve the same liberties that humans do, I don't think.
Yeah, individual humans can't do nearly as much environmental damage as an entire Exxon or, something
And they also taught me some interesting stuff about recycling.
Oh, man.
And I'll say this straight ahead. If you're going to recycle, go ahead and do it. If it makes you feel better, that's great. There are only a few products that can be effectively recycled without expending more energy than it would take to make a new product.
That sucks.
So you're not saving the planet by recycling plastics. And in fact, plastics should just be completely done away with because there's no effective way to recycle them without expending more energy than it would take to just make new plastic.
And it's something that my wife kind of got me started on, really, but now it's just kind of become like a running side task in the back of my head all the time. But just trying to not use as many single-use plastics as humanly possible.
Take your own bags to this.
Dude, it's not that hard.
It really isn't.
It's not that hard, dude, to bring your own bags to the grocery store.
In LA, you can't get bags, like plastic bags at the store.
Even out at the coast, we were in South Carolina, like the Food Lion and stuff out there.
Yeah.
No plastic bags. None of the restaurants had plastic straws.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
It's really not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Why does everything have to be a time to stake your flag as a Republican and die on that hill?
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Like, why? You can't use single-use plastics anymore. I really love sucking through a straw.
How about quit being a fucking baby and bring a glass to your face, you stupid fuck?
I know a ton of Southern men who won't use a straw because they think it's girly.
It's a sissy stick. I know.
Yes, but they will then defend single-use plastics just so they can
piss off the libtards.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Oh my god, dude! I know. Like I've seen so much shit. I'm bringing these plastic straws on my flight to California just to piss them off.
You're not going to piss anybody off. Nobody's going to be mad at you if they see you using a single-use... Like, that in LA never happened.
Yeah.
No one ever walked up before the ban and said, I can't believe you're using that single-use plastic
straw. You're an animal.
Yeah.
You're a monster.
Yeah. It was a choice made by people through a vote that they thought was the right choice to make, and I agree with them.
Right. So stupid, man. So fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
Drives you crazy. So, yeah, I've just been trying to eliminate as much single-use plastic shit in my life
because
as I can. It's not that hard.
It's not.
Just try making a change.
It's not.
Now, you said that you thought that there were maybe slightly chauvinistic views towards women on the show, right?
It's not. No, I don't. Okay. I don't think that Penn Jillette has... it looks at women any differently, but he looks at them extremely sexually.
Okay.
And I don't know how negative that is all the time, but sometimes it sounded dismissive. Sometimes it sounded dismissive in a way that was particularly aimed at sex. Well, and but the thing is, they're very dismissive of everybody on the show.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
And they did have like a bunch of naked people on the show all the time, but they would have men and women. So like, I don't know how negative it is. I just felt a little gross sometimes when he would be talking about a woman. I would just be like, I'm not cool with that.
Well, here's the thing though, Steve, you got to consider the source, and this isn't going to be a popular topic, but it's something that should be addressed that you're not hearing in the media at all. I think that magicians themselves are an inherently extremely sexist group.
How so?
Think about what they're doing to women all the time.
Right, what's that?
They're bringing women on stage. What do they do with them? They cut them in half. How is that not sexist?
That's true. I mean, I believe that is absolute misogyny, I would guess. Yeah.
Well, think about this two-step, quote, trick for our amusement.
Yeah.
Let's bring a woman on stage. Let's put her in a box.
What?
Oh, wow. That's not bad
around.
enough, huh? Well, guess what? Now I'm going to make her vanish.
Fucking shit.
And then the crowd's going to go wild and applaud me, the man.
Except her husband, who's out there like, oh, now my wife is vanished.
I'm a widower. Great. She's banished to the nether zone.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that I don't think that we've really talked about quite enough, but I think that there is just something inherently sexist about being a magician. I think that we should bring in a new magician for the new age.
Right.
Where he's gonna bring a woman on stage that's already cut in half.
And then put her together.
Put her back
Is
together.
anyone in the audience cut in half?
2 women? Got it. Let's bring you guys up
someone
here.
and the guy nearby goes, she's a plant.
She was cut in half when she got here. But then I think there would also be other tricks too, where maybe he has an empty box and he summons a woman to it to have an intelligent conversation.
Maybe.
Or maybe he makes himself disappear.
Yeah. And he's like, you take over.
Yeah.
You've been promoted.
I've been the center of attention for long enough. Let you take the reins, miss.
And then it's just some lady from Orlando standing on the stage like, boy, I can fold a paper crane. Hold on.
I've got this.
But yeah, actually, I still would say watch the show. Just know that there is a bias in the show. I mean, that's true also of, say, Mythbusters. Like Mythbusters, they did an episode on lie detectors, and basically they avoided showing you how to beat a lie detector. Like they would avoid doing, because they worked so much with law enforcement, they didn't want to do anything to piss them off, so they would avoid showing the ways that you could actually beat these things. And Penn and Teller's bullshit, they did one on lie detectors and they showed you how you could beat it.
Wow.
So I respect that.
The key is you have to believe in what you're saying, right? It's not so much that it's truth or false, but it's like if you believe what you're telling those things,
basically,
like what sociopaths do, basically.
Basically, you have to beat the machine.
Yeah.
And the most effective way to do that is to clench your anus before you give a truthful answer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, yours?
Yeah. Not no one else's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't grab the guy who's performing the test and clench his anus. But it makes your truthful answers and your false answers look the same, and they can't tell the difference. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Basically, the only way to beat that then is for them to pester you and try to catch you at a time where you can't clench your anus fast enough. It's bullshit, but they are bullshit. They're absolutely bullshit. Don't ever submit to a lie detector test if you're being accused of a crime, because they can make it say whatever they want it to say.
We had ourselves a big old Dead and Lovely hangout Friday, didn't we? I was doing a big old family hang and stuff like that. You guys did a stream.
Yeah, we had the streaming chat. We've actually had 2 since the last time we recorded.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And here's the absolute truth about these streaming chats is I rarely can remember what the second movie is.
You're getting fucked up.
Most recently we did, a couple weeks ago, we did Poultrygeist, which is a trauma movie.
Sounds great.
I wouldn't say great. It's what you would expect out of a lot of trauma movies. Some trauma movies are better and maybe more endearing than this one.
Some of them have some charm.
Yeah, this one definitely
just
offensive, and then it's also a musical, and the people can't really sing.
That sounds great.
Sure. Yeah, that one wasn't too great. But before that, what did we watch? Humanoids from the Deep? Or is that this most recent week? We watched Humanoids from the Deep.
Okay.
I know that happened. We also watched...
Did you guys do Spookies?
We did Spookies. And that movie is bad.
I have only heard tell of its legendary badness, and some of the stories of like the whole making of that movie was just a fucking fiasco.
Oh, okay. I didn't look into it at all. Don't
it have some zombies? What be farting?
Yeah, farting zombies. That was the best part. That was the best part of the night, probably, because we followed or we preceded Spookies with Ari Aster's The Strange Things About the Johnsons.
Oh, I still haven't watched this yet, but you told me it was just
brutal,
really uncomfortable,
really uncomfortable, and hard to watch.
That's what I have heard.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough 35 minutes.
Some taboo subjects.
Yeah, very taboo, and not it's hard to watch. Well directed, well acted. I mean, Ari Aster, he obviously knows what he's doing. It's just...
But not what we'd call a good time.
Not a great time, man.
But it's always a good time doing these group streams.
Oh, yeah. Those streaming chats are fucking awesome. Everybody has a great time. And I think we all end up at about the same place by the end of the second movie. Where
one of these days, I need to like not be playing a show or something on one of these nights. So
that's lame.
I can participate. That must be fun.
It is pretty
All right. I think that you also, while you were prepping to check out Bone Tomahawk, didn't you watch some other shit from the director?
Yeah, I was going to watch all the movies he directed. I just didn't have all the time.
He's not done that many.
He hasn't. He's directed 3 movies, so I've seen 2 of them. I watched Brawl and Cell Block 99, which had been recommended in the past by people on the Facebook page.
I've heard that it's awesome. Is it horror or is it like an action movie?
It's like a prison revenge movie.
Okay, cool.
Starring Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Carpenter from Dexter. And a few other people you recognize. Udo Kier.
Oh, wow,
Probably seen him in a few things.
Yeah. He's a fucking maniac.
He is. Oh, and Don Johnson also.
Don Johnson.
Playing a great role.
Interesting.
It's brutally violent.
I would believe it coming off of this movie.
Yeah, and it's really... You don't root for anybody too much.
A lot
Vince
of real
Vaughn is
scuzbags.
like, he's not exactly likable, but he's really good at what he does. So it's kind of like, in some ways, like a Western where you have the hero of the story may not be such a great guy, but he at least is the one you're rooting for.
Right on.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
It's brutal.
Cool.
It's worth a watch, for sure.
And you also watched another one that he did.
I watched one that he
wrote.
He didn't direct this, but he wrote Puppet Master: The Littlest Reich.
The Littlest Reich. It
Yeah.
sounds so cute.
I'll say this. I've only seen the first Puppet Master. Don't love it. The movies are all ridiculous. But this one was at least well written. I think it was well written. It's just... How do you make it good?
Yeah, it's
I
just,
don't know
it's just
how
stupid.
you do.
Yeah.
Tom Lennon from Reno 911 stars in it. Tom Lennon, Reno 911, shorts.
Oh, shorts. Yeah.
But it's pretty ridiculous.
Here's the thing is like, I saw where a lot of people got really pissed about it and were like, it's so dumb and it's Nazi puppets and all this
They're
stuff.
all dumb.
But that's
There's
kind of
like
what I'm
6
getting
of
at.
them,
Like,
aren't there?
have you ever met anybody who's like, man, Puppet Master's my number one. Fucking love Puppet Master.
Like Puppet Master, and then it's Critters, bro.
Love him. The best series. Easily the best. Like, is it really worth getting upset over when the whole thing has kind of been shitty?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, as someone who didn't know all the other movies, and they were definitely references to past movies, it was still watchable.
Okay.
And there were some great deaths. A man, while taking a piss, gets decapitated, and his head falls into the toilet, and he pisses on his own face before his body collapses.
That's entertainment.
That's entertainment.
That's entertainment.
And an unborn fetus gets murdered. Now, Steve, you say, you're pro-abortion.
Sounds like abortion.
I do believe that if someone gets an involuntary abortion, that's a murder.
Involuntary
Yeah.
abortion.
That's a murder.
That's very metal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a brutal fucking scene, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, I've got to check that stuff out. And hopefully now that I'm back from my vacation, I can get back in my watching habits. There's a lot of new stuff that's out. I'm dying to watch The Boys.
The Boys, I was going to say, yeah, that's one I've been wanting to get into.
I've heard endlessly that it's amazing. I've
Yeah.
not talked to anybody that didn't love it.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of chatter on our Facebook page and stuff.
A lot of
about
chatter
it.
on the boards.
A lot of chatter on the boards, man. So I definitely need to check that stuff out. I've also seen that there's been a lot of chatter about some new people that are supporting us on Patreon.
Whoa,
What the what?
We
That's
got some
right.
shout outs.
Yes, we do indeed. You guys are so just goddamn fantastic. Thank you for giving us your hard-earned dollar papers to say thanks for the enjoyment that you get from our hundreds of weekly shows that we have put up for our own amusement, but also it's for you, baby.
It's all for you, baby.
It's all for you, Damien.
It's all for you, Mike Kleeman. Shout out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mike Kleeman, thank you for your dollars.
What about Matthew Roar?
Matthew Roar?
Roar.
Dude, if he doesn't have a t-shirt that says "Hear Me Roar," I'm disappointed.
Maybe you heard of Dakota Rolf?
Oh, a little Dakota Rolf?
Uh-huh.
Oh boy, is that a North Dakota Rolf or a South
don't know.
Dakota Rolf?
It
Hope he has
doesn't
a
say here.
rival, South Dakota Rolf.
South Dakota Rolf.
I hate that guy.
We got Charles.
Just Charles. Single name Charles. The original Charles.
Right now, somebody's driving around listening to this with their girlfriend, and he was like, that's me.
I'm Charles. Also, I hope he has a t-shirt that says,
I'm Charles.
It's kind of like, what was her name in Sleepaway Camp? The Judy shirt.
Oh,
It
right. It just says her name on it. Right. Okay.
I want more stuff that has my name on it.
Just so people know.
Yeah.
Don't wear that.
It's
Ben's.
mine. My shirt.
Shout out to Whitley.
Whitley.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Whitley. I hope that's country superstar Keith Whitley.
It's not.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty positive she follows us on Instagram.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's not the same at all. All right, then, moving on.
And finally, the most beloved of all of our patrons.
Oh, hang on now. Hang on. Oh, I won't hear none of this.
Well, when you hear the name, you're going to turn that around. Jessica Pettit.
What, you talking about my sister-in-law?
That's the one.
You're talking about my loathsome,
You're
evil, insidious, little
she's known for
blonde sister-in-law.
her evilness.
Ew. Everybody hates Jessie.
That's true. That's true.
We all know it.
Oh man, anybody's like, oh, I don't want to see that Jessie out and about.
Yeah, nobody ever says
she's
that.
so mean.
She harshes my mellow,
That's what she does immediately.
they say. They
We
say that
love
about her all
Jessie.
the time. But we
Thank
know
you for
she's
your money,
she's
Dial.
just trying to buy our affections. We know that you are.
Is that what is up?
I'm pretty sure.
Is that what is up? I said.
What is up?
I am not a cyborg.
So thank you guys all so much for contributing to that Patreon. Big or small, we like them all. Thanks for the donations. You guys are the best. Now, Steve, the subject of our podcast today is one Bone Tomahawk.
That's the one. Bone Tomahawk.
And this movie is a Western.
A Western.
And I'm going to tell you this, Steve. I don't know jack shit
Oh yeah?
about Westerns.
You don't know Jack.
So as we step on into the preview palace,
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
well, I just goddamn don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm completely unfamiliar with the subject of Westerns, and that's what we're gonna be
Hey,
talking about.
Look over there in your corner though. Somebody's reaching out for a tag.
I'm down on my energy levels. I'm low. I'm just crawling.
she came
towards the
running
mat.
from the back. Who is it?
It's time to tag in. Why, it's that number one companion of mine. It's an amateur expert on this topic, and she's also way prettier than me. I'm reaching out to my tag team partner. Oh, it's Kate.
Hi.
That's a deep, sultry voice. She's a bass. Hi. Oh, hi. Well, welcome to the show once again, my dear. You've truly come to me in my time of need because I am ignorant in the ways of the Western, and you
That's
and Steve are
ignorant.
just going to talk about some of your favorites, and I'm going to chime in every now and then just to say, yeah, that one.
Hype man.
Woo!
It's true. You're a big disappointment in that you don't like Westerns.
It's my least favorite thing about myself. That and my unenthusiasm for tacos. Yeah. All right, Steve, when you're thinking about some of your favorite Westerns,
Yeah.
what's one that comes to mind for you?
Well, I would say this movie is one of my favorites of all time. For particular reasons we'll get into during the episode, but one that I go to all the time and really got me into Westerns was Tombstone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love Tombstone.
That's one that I can say I know, and I love it. I love it.
Stars one Kurt Russell, who's in Bone Tomahawk.
Love Kurt Russell.
He's so great. We got Val Kilmer, probably his best performance.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Val Kilmer.
Who's your Huckleberry? It's him.
It's him. It's that guy. Yeah, just a bunch of great performances, and it's a long movie, but all Westerns do hit that about 2.5 to 3 hour mark, it seems.
Gotta be a haul.
Yeah. The Western really wants you to feel like you're going across the country too or something, yeah.
That's one of those ones that I think part of the reason why I do like that movie so much, even though I don't really like Westerns very much in particular, is, I mean, it's all these actors that I know. The audio and visual quality is fantastic. Like, a lot of those, like, 70s Westerns just have bullshit audio that just sounds
Yeah.
awful, and it's a bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that it's
Like
one of those
Clint
things...
Eastwood.
Like
Who's
Clint
this damn
Eastwood.
Clint
Who's this
Eastwood?
guy? But, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's like the same reason I like Dimmu Borgir, but I hate other black metal stuff.
Yeah.
It's because the production's great.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm just shallow like that.
What about you, Kate? What are you into?
Okay, my number one, which I know objectively is not a great movie,
Okay.
but it is my personal
Let's hear
favorite.
it.
Cat Baloo.
Okay.
It's the best.
Okay. Why do you love Cat Baloo so much?
Because Jane Fonda's amazing.
Okay. Yeah.
Jane Fonda's a traitor.
Oh, no. Oh, Ben. No.
Not this again.
Not in this house. We love Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that you will have on frequently while like I'm gone somewhere and I come home and it'll be on and I'm like, I know she's not going to stop this movie because I'm home. It's very bad. Have you ever seen it, Steve?
I saw it, as a younger man. I've seen so many with my grandfather that Cat Baloo was one he liked a lot, though.
It's wonderful. My grandparents are the ones who introduced it to me. I would go over to Nana and Gramps' house on the farm, climb their shelves, pull out the VHS
The Cat
tape,
Baloo.
put it in, watch Cat Baloo. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Don't that have a feller what has a metal nose in it?
It does. It's great.
Didn't
That's
they do
Cat.
Goofy.
Didn't they do that again in Wild Wild West? Or was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
with the big spider.
Yeah,
The Will Smith one.
Right. Uh-huh.
They did touch on that.
They did.
Steve, educate me in the ways of the Western.
Well, I'm going to avoid talking about horror westerns because we'll talk about that in the show. But there are some good ones. But we've had recently 2 great movies from Quentin Tarantino that were both westerns.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My favorite of those 2 is Hateful Eight.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Easy.
Hateful Eight is awesome. It's
Yeah.
kind of like if The Thing was a Western.
Yeah. Now Django is a western for sure, but it breaks some of the tropes as it ends in the southeast, which isn't normally in a western. You
Gotta
do
be
not
over
move,
the Mississippi.
Yeah, you're not moving west to east. You're moving east to west always. So, but Hateful Eight, it's just pure western awesomeness. Kurt Russell again.
Once again with the Russ, you can't lose to that guy.
It's a good movie.
He's a great movie. Kurt Russell, Samuel L. Jackson, awesome. What's his name? Bruce Shit. The guy who played the older
Bruce
guy.
Shit.
Bruce Shit, he's
Dern.
called.
Bruce Dern, who plays the old racist. Like, they all put in these great performances. Even Channing Tatum, awesome. in
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. He is in that.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. He is awesome.
Great.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that one too. That's a very slow burn. I know a lot of people didn't like how slow it was. I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
just pure atmosphere.
Yeah, it needs
You like
that.
that guitar part.
I did not like that. Whenever, do you know this whole story? Whenever they like smashed that guitar.
Oh, right. That was a, like, rare guitar.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
like priceless, like fucking Smithsonian piece that was on loan from Martin
Yeah.
Guitars, and then like Martin Guitars was so pissed, they're like, we're never loaning any pieces out to movies ever again.
I get it.
He thought it was a stand-in, and he smashed the real thing.
Damn.
Whoopsie daisy.
Kate, what's another one?
I'm not going to talk about it. 'Cause
Okay, go ahead.
It's legit not that good.
That's fine.
Paint Your Wagon.
Okay.
But we're not going to talk about it because I recognize that's a bad one. I just really love it. But I will say Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't avoid Blazing Saddles.
They'll never be able to make that movie
Right.
again.
No.
What Blazing Saddles is different than, say, Spaceballs. Blazing Saddles isn't a parody of a Western. It's a Western that's funny.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
totally.
It's got its own thing going. It's really interesting.
It's a great movie. And that one feels a little long, probably because it's a
Yeah.
little slapsticky.
And some of the jokes don't really still land today.
You know, the thing about the humor in that movie is, and it's like we're saying, you can't make that movie now. And I think that a lot of people that would watch it would probably think a lot of the jokes and stuff are probably racist. But the thing about the way that Mel Brooks always handles racism is to make the people that are racist look fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's never in any kind of way
Yeah.
that is derogatory towards the people that are being racially slandered. It's
Right.
to make the people that are the racists look as stupid as humanly possible.
And at the time that he was doing that, this was pre-90s irony. At the time he was doing it, he was making a strong statement about racism that today we look at and we go like, well, that seems unacceptable. And that's not how we talk about race anymore. But at the time was revolutionary, and he was trying something that I think was worthwhile.
Enough of that bullshit. Here comes Mongo. Oh, I love Blazing Saddles. That is, again, not a Western guy, but I love that movie.
There's so many movies that I wanted to mention and maybe talk about, but I think the one that is most recent but not talked about enough, I think, is Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. That
Fucking
movie,
love that movie.
Not a lot of people watched it for some reason.
Don't know why.
Pitt, Casey Affleck, a ton of people you would recognize in it.
Zooey Deschanel.
I don't believe she's in there.
Yeah, she's at the very end of the movie for like 2 seconds.
Is she?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize her.
I'll fact check that, but I'm
Okay.
pretty fucking sure.
I would put that in a similar category with more modern westerns that are much more artistic and less about
it
like,
is gorgeous.
Yeah. So, like, you know, The Revenant is amazing and certainly deserved awards, but, like, I think Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford needs some more attention because that movie was awesome.
I fully agree. That one's on my list. That was the movie where I recognized that Brad Pitt was actually a pretty good actor.
He's pretty great.
And I was like, oh, we just ignore it because he's pretty.
Yeah, he's good looking. He doesn't have to be. Yeah.
Right. I am going to go forward with my cheesy westerns.
Do it.
Because they don't get enough appreciation.
That's true.
McClintock.
Okay, McClintock, yeah. You hate
Fuck
McClintock?
you.
Not good.
It's great.
That's a good one.
That's again one of those ones that I just think of as being a part of like the most miserable Sunday afternoon imaginable. This is boring, it's ugly, and I don't care about it.
Maybe you don't like McClintock because you didn't watch all of these other like really great ones like True Grit and The Wild Bunch and Magnificent Seven, because McClintock's kind of a parody western.
Yeah.
John Wayne's old, he's retired, he's still angry. You've got Bunny, the homeless guy who hangs out at the train station.
You just don't love it, huh?
So in other words, you're saying it's not it's me.
It's definitely you.
Definitely you. Ass! Speaking of True Grit, both the original and the remake,
Love them
amazing masterpieces of cinema. They're both awesome.
Did not go see. I didn't see the second one in theaters because I was so worried.
Yeah.
Because I love the first one so much.
It was worth seeing in theaters for sure. It was beautiful. You go back and watch the original. Still great. John Wayne was awesome in it, playing grizzled Rooster Cogburn. I mean, just an awesome movie.
I remember seeing the newer one and liking it. I don't remember much about it, frankly.
I made you watch it. You did like it.
All right.
I do not know this man.
I could not get you to watch the original. You were not interested.
What's another?
So it's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah. The whole fistful of dollars. Good, Bad,
all of those.
Yeah, all that. That series is great.
And the Korean version, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
I haven't seen that.
Oh my God.
What?
Please watch this movie.
Okay.
I have it on Blu-ray. It's the best.
Is it? Okay, because I have seen that as well.
I think it's Korean.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Korean.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it the same story, basically, but told in a very nutty, crazy Korean style?
Yeah. It's exactly like they follow it, except it's like zany Korean version of a Western comedy.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
When I think about more modern ones, I'm always stuck in the 90s, like Young Guns.
Yeah, it's not the 90s. It's not modern anymore.
Yeah, it's not modern. Yeah, I try to think about like what's modern, and like my brain goes to 90s.
I've never seen Young Guns.
You never seen Young Guns?
Young Guns is so good.
It's pretty great. The second one's not as great, but
it's bad.
Emilio Estevez. Who else you got in there? There's a lot of
10
actors.
people in that movie. It's great.
Lou Diamond Phillips is in it for sure. Yeah, that's just. It was a real fun time. I remember watching that. My brother. This was after Tombstone, and I guess like I just started paying attention to the fact that my grandfather and my brother were watching westerns all the time, and then being like, well, I like Tombstone, so I'll try this. Young Guns got me.
Yeah.
What else was in the 90s? The Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead was great.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
That one, Legends of the Fall. Watched them
Silverado, yeah.
The Jodie Foster version.
Is Legends of the Fall a Western?
Ooh,
I mean,
that's
they're on
interesting.
the... Oh, well, time period's wrong. It's industrial era.
You can still be a Western in the industrial era. We'll talk some about the different types of Western genres, but basically Die Hard follows a Western genre of the lawman from the East coming into the West, hooking up with a local lawman and stopping a threat.
And then leaving.
So yeah, Legends of the Fall maybe is a Western.
Yeah. Plus, they're all so pretty.
That's true.
Everybody's so pretty.
Yeah.
The ugliest person in that movie is Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, wow. That's not too
That's a
bad.
good problem to
That's not
have
too
right
shabby.
there.
I know. The man who shot Liberty Valance is Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Yep.
Jimmy Stewart. Liberty Valance. I'm going to shoot you. I'm the man who does that.
It's phenomenal. That's one of my favorites. Unforgiven. Holy shit. How
Unforgiven,
did I not
yeah.
name Unforgiven?
Yeah.
That was a 90s
90s,
one.
yes. That's another
That
90s
was
one
great.
I was thinking of.
I think I've seen it. Which one is
Okay.
it?
You have not seen it.
You would remember. Clint Eastwood basically trying to make up for all the wrongs he's done, but knowing he really can't. Just like any good Western, it's usually about
It's
a
what
person.
Shane wanted to be.
Right. Shane the book is good.
Fuck Shane.
Shane the movie, not so great. But yeah, that idea of morality and trying to ride the line of survival in this harsh environment, but also trying to be right and good. I think Unforgiven really approached that in an interesting way.
I think that's about it. There's a couple that I've not seen that
Okay.
were 2000s
What were those?
because somebody in my household doesn't want to watch Western, so I can never.
Emily hates them too.
Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh gosh,
Still not watched that
was
one?
Awesome. That is so good. I love the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and it's one that is an anthology. So basically, it might cut out what you might hate a bit about the Western. Is that sometimes they drag, for sure. They sometimes take a little long to get where they're going, and the Ballad of Buster Scruggs is short, quick tales, so they get where they're going. Worth a watch, and it has Tom Waits.
Oh, and I'm on board.
There you go. Check it out, and it's the Coen brothers.
I got really excited when Ben was like Westerns. I was like, yes,
Yeah, I'll
let's
just name 'em
come
all.
on, let's
Yeah.
go.
Did you ever watch any Western shows? Because my grandfather used to watch, what is the Bonanza? Oh my gosh.
I can't.
That show is not great.
I have been in the room while Bonanza was on
Okay.
for probably like 7 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because between my grandfather,
Just
who-
constantly watching it, I imagine.
yeah, it was either some version of a Western or Fox News.
Oh, well, fuck that. At least my
And-
grandfather didn't do that.
And like their TV was just always on. Or Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith, man. My grandfather loves
So-
some Andy Griffith, and I can't disagree with him. That show was not every episode, because back in the day, you had to put out at least 20 to 30 episodes.
yeah,
You couldn't
God.
do great stories, but some of those stories were real good.
I want to see a horror crossover that's Mandy Griffith. Or maybe in the town of Mayberry, a new cult shows up. They get everybody on acid and they sting them with those crazy wasps and stuff.
I love that. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
somebody get on that. Mandy Griffith, trademark Dead and Lovely. Y'all ever see that Wild Wild West with Will Smith?
Yes, he did.
I have.
You know what? Speaking of Wild Wild West, though, it reminded me of another 90s movie I saw a lot, Maverick.
Oh, God. How did I not name Maverick?
Yeah, well, Mel Gibson's in it. Yeah.
I saw that movie.
That's the Jodie Foster one.
Yeah,
I
Jodie
said that
Foster,
was
Mel
Silverado.
Gibson. Yeah.
I saw Maverick on my. When did that come out? Like what year? Because I saw it on my
93
birthday.
maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Early mid.
I maybe saw it on like my 9th birthday or something like that, and I don't know why. It was either that or whatever Disney movie was out that was like The Lion King or something,
okay.
and I was like, "That's not metal. I want to go.
Yeah.
I want to go watch Mel Gibson."
Lion King's not cool. Mel Gibson is cool.
Oh, baby.
Thoughts that didn't age well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the extra input here, Miss Kate.
Quite welcome.
You did a good job in informing me. I think I'm going to try to use the positive forward momentum I've got by loving this Bone Tomahawk movie
Yeah.
so much. Just
Ain't
for
your
trying
wagon
out.
tomorrow night.
Oh, no.
I don't know about that.
Maybe go with something else. Try
Let's
Assassination
lean
of Jesse
into
James.
it. Let's lean into it. But I mean, I really did like this, and like I said, a lot of these other movies I really enjoyed. So maybe there are some westerns out there for me, and you guys have just spread your evil influence. I can feel your evil inside of me, dictating me to watch some more westerns.
Reminds me of my honeymoon.
Round of applause! Yay!
Thank you, Kate. Much obliged, Miss Kate.
Good night, good night, good night.
Yeah, I sure am glad we had another set of ovaries in here to talk some good stuff about westerns.
Another set. Oh, wait. My dog.
Your
right?
dog's in here. Yeah,
Well, she's been fixed.
where my dog's at?
Oh,
Because, whenever we started talking about the topic of like, oh, we should talk about, the best Westerns, I was like, that's great. I stay in hotels all the time. There's the best Western in Ohio I stayed at one time. That was great.
I stayed in one in Savannah most recently.
How's that?
Lacking.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. All right.
There was a bloody fingerprint and bloody palm print on the door.
Oh.
So yeah, I felt a little unsafe.
That's a worst Western.
Yeah, but it turned out to be fine. There were just a ton of spring breakers there to go to the beach.
Turns out there was a finger painting convention in town.
Right,
That's all it was.
Well, I mean, it could have been anything. Somebody maybe had a bloody nose.
Yeah.
Somebody maybe committed a murder. You never know.
You never know. But, either way, I'll have a pull to it.
All right.
I can't believe we've gone this whole time without pulling on something, Steve. We've been so
well,
wrapped
I've been
up.
pulling on something.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that what's under the table over here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Lord. We just been so concerned with catching up and getting our groove back, just like Stella once did, that we've ignored.
Stella.
We've been ignoring the fact that we have ourselves a Mantra Artisan Ales Brewing Company's Saffron IPA India Pale Ale sitting right here in front of us.
I like everything you just said. I have never heard of Mantra.
Brewed as a Pacific Northwest IPA, the essence of saffron and cardamom flash in your mouth, followed by a very pleasant and flavorful floral hop finish.
They were going for the real India part of the India Pale Ale with that
I guess
saffron
so, and some cardamoms in there.
Some cardamom, yeah.
Oh boy, I look forward to checking this out. That sounds like an alluring combination. I will tell you one thing about being out there at the beach, man. Most all of those restaurants have complete horseshit beer selections. They need to get with the game, South Carolina. Like, you go out there and it's like the most exotic thing you can find is like fucking Blue Moon or like Goose Island.
Where were you at? Like Hilton Head or?
We were at Garden City.
Garden City, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of, to me, all those areas, it's like, it's Myrtle Beach, really.
Right, yeah.
But there's kind of like, Myrtle Beach is for like 20 and under, and then the other ones are for 20 and over.
Myrtle Beach, you got two choices, Bud Light or Miller Lite.
And you're talking about which beach towel are you going to get?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got three choices.
Corona.
Because there's also Rebel Flag.
Oh, yeah, or Rebel Flag.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. In the Charleston area, you'll get some better beers.
Yeah.
For sure. Charleston's a great area.
Charleston is awesome. I love that place. Love the dance,
This is
too.
nice
Big fan.
And, cloudy.
This
looks
looks like some dirty dishwater.
It sure do.
Looks like some dang old dishwater.
Oh,
it smells
good.
great.
Yeah.
It's extremely floral on the nose.
I'm going to have to taste this.
A pungent aroma. And you can smell already the cardamom and stuff. I wonder how that's going to pair with a hoppy IPA. What's that do for you?
Dude, that's great.
Yeah?
That's
Works for you?
so good.
Oh,
Got
dude.
all sorts of flavors, too.
Oh, dude. Wow. That is truly unique and fantastic.
Yeah.
I was
That's
seriously,
very drinkable.
I was reaching a point earlier today where I was like, I'm almost IPA'd out. Where I'm like, so many of these that I've had are all just kind of starting to taste the same to me.
Yeah.
This does not taste the same.
It's a little like piney, a little resiny, but there's way more flavor going on in the
It's
back
almost like
end,
a
especially.
chai spice kind of flavor on top of a really funky IPA.
yeah.
It's pretty dry too. It's not terribly sweet. It said it had an IBU of I think like 55 or something like that. 7.2%.
Yeah.
That's goddamn fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
One of our listeners, Lamar Ortiz, he stopped in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, and he gave us a bunch of beers, and I stupidly forgot to bring them. But
What a stupid idiot.
I know. But in the next few weeks, we'll be trying some of those beers that Lamar brought us, because he brought us some stuff from New Jersey and some stuff from Austin, where he's from. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to check that out. He's from Austin, huh?
yeah,
Wonder if he knows our man Dave Bechet.
yeah, they should hook up.
Maybe they get
Lamar,
together
Dave,
and watch
meet.
some movies. They listen to the podcast and hold hands together sometime.
I did send him to go see RDM in Nashville, and he went and saw him.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Dude, this whole thing is just coming full circle.
We're all friends.
Dude, we should start a cult.
Let's do it,
That'd be so sick.
guys. You ready? Let's cult it up.
Well, the thing is he gave us these awesome hockey jerseys
we're
from the
wearing
Street
it right
Hockey
now because
League.
we wore them for a video we just made. We're just wearing these sweet Texas ball hockey jerseys he brought. Apparently, he's involved with the league and just wanted to bring us some shirts. They're awesome, man.
It's not a cult without a uniform.
That's
This
true.
might be the uniform.
This might be it.
It's extremely comfortable, and it looks great.
It really is. And you have never worn a jersey before.
I have never worn a
This is
jersey.
your first experience.
I am loving it, as they say.
Now you get why people are always wearing jerseys.
I'm starting to get why people play sports. If you play sports,
Just
you
so
get
you
to
can
wear
wear
these
this?
all the time. Are you kidding? That's worth all the thousands of hours of practice.
Yeah.
Not really.
So thanks to Lamar.
And thanks to this beer for being awesome. Like these kinds of flavors with the cardamom and stuff, I would typically associate more with a Belgian or a wit beer.
Yes. Yeah,
And-
that's usually where you will see cardamom for sure.
Yeah. And knowing that those two kinds of things tend to get pretty sweet pretty fast, I wouldn't imagine that working with an IPA at all. This is seriously
It's so
fucking
good.
divine. If you guys can find this and you want a unique IPA experience, get ya pull.
Where's Mantra?
I don't know. I didn't
based?
see it anywhere on there.
Yeah,
Surely
let's
it's on there somewhere. I would love to
Whoever out there be making this Mantra.
make some more for us.
Oh, Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh, no shit.
Wow, so nearby.
Yeah, Franklin is the rich part of Nashville.
Yeah, that's a little bit south of Nashville. Nice area. My brother-in-law and his family live there.
Oh, you don't say. Well, have them bring some of this shit down next time they're in
There you
Knoxville,
go.
because it's fucking great. All right, the subject of our show today is going to be one Boner Tomahawk,
Boner Tomahawk.
which came out in a 2015.
Yeah, 2015, October of 2015. Perfect time. Right in time for Halloween. Mm-hmm. What do you want to see during Halloween? A Western.
A Western. Now, this movie, dude, had come heavily recommended.
Yes.
A lot of people had told us, like, please do this on the show.
And I had seen it, and I also recommended it to us as well, because it was one that immediately I was like, I love this movie.
When did you see it the first time?
Oh gosh, if somebody has recently listened to our back catalog, you'll probably know exactly which episode when I said I just watched Bone Tomahawk.
Somebody let us know when
Yeah.
Steve watched the movie.
But it's within the past 2 years since we've been making a podcast.
So that narrows it down a
Yeah.
little bit. Okay, and you saw it for the first time, and you're like, "This is the shit."
Yeah, because I was at a point where I was looking for horror movies that I hadn't seen that people were talking up.
Yeah,
And just seeing the cast list for Bone Tomahawk, I was like, well, that
Has to
I
be
want to
good.
see. Yeah, Kurt Russell, first off,
yeah.
already interested. If Kurt Russell is in a Western, I'm
on
going to
board.
watch it.
Right.
And if it's a Western horror, which we'll talk about where this fits on that spectrum, but a Western horror, I'm down. So, yeah, I just watched it as soon as possible and was blown away by it immediately.
I just watched it the first time. Fucking last night.
Yeah.
For the show, we just got back from the beach, and I was like, okay, time to sit down and watch this movie. I'd been looking forward to it. I hadn't really read anything about it. I watched the trailer for it because it turns out Kate's dad is a gigantic fan of Westerns.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about it at some point. He's like, oh, yeah, I've seen it. He's like, it's really good. It's really, really brutal.
Yeah.
But it's really good. He doesn't really like horror movies at all.
Yeah, so and this movie is a pure Western until the very end almost.
Yeah.
I mean, other than being introduced to the horror in the cold open, we don't get to see it again until
a
later.
long time. Yeah. So knowing that Kate's dad liked it, I was like, okay, so it's probably pretty Western.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled up a trailer for it, and we watched the trailer. The trailer sucks.
Oh, okay.
It's a shitty
Yeah.
trailer for this movie.
I don't know how you could. What scenes would you pick from to sort of get the exposition? Because this movie does such a great job at not doing exposition. Such a great job. Like, we know everything we know about the characters from their actions. We're never get like two characters being like, he's so hard-headed or he's so loyal. Like,
or
you
any
never
crappy
have that.
flashbacks. or
Yeah,
anything
you
like
just
that.
see the action and you pick up how each character is. So I don't know what you would pick out of that to make a trailer.
Honestly, you would just have to do an artsy, maybe even like the more dramatic side of the Coen Brothers style trailer for this, because the trailer tried to make it look like it was framing it as like an action western.
Oh, that's
And
a
it's
bad way to frame it.
Yeah, so I watched the trailer and I was like, this can't be that good. This
Yeah.
looks pretty crap, actually. But going into the movie, I was super stoked about it because I couldn't really think of anything that was a true horror western that I had seen.
Right.
But knowing that it just had that genre tag attached to it of being horror, whenever the movie started, and we've got this stuff going on, with David Arquette and Sid Haig.
Yeah.
And of course, Sid Haig, a horror icon.
Yeah.
Awesome. They slipped
David
him in
Arquette
here.
as well.
Oh,
David
yeah,
Arquette's
that's
been
true.
in a ton of horror
Fucking
movies.
Scream,
Yeah.
dude. Tons of stuff. I started the movie, and there's that little opening scene where they're kind of these like carpetbaggers that cut dudes' throats and stuff,
Yeah.
and then they get attacked by this mysterious presence on like, in the middle of this Pet Cemetery style
We see
graveyard.
it, but only from a distance.
Yeah.
Basically from the POV of David Arquette. But we see that it's huge and brutal.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's brutal when he cuts that guy's throat.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty gory and pretty nasty. And again, you got this spooky burial ground thing. I spent the next hour or so of the movie thinking like maybe it's ghosts, maybe there's that cursed burial ground. Like I kept waiting for a let's say supernatural element to come into play. But the funny thing is like, how sometimes when you watch a movie and you have a certain expectation for it and the movie isn't what you thought it was, and you just spend the whole movie going, well, when is this going to start? When is this going to start? It's very distracting, and you end up not enjoying the movie because of it.
Yeah.
This movie, I went into it going, okay, when's the horror? When's the supernatural? When's there's ghosts or zombies or whatever? But then I found myself just instantly getting distracted and pulled into, well, I don't care. It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah.
This is just a very cool fucking movie.
Yes, it is.
Even though it's
great.
not covered in horror tropes or anything like that for the majority of the movie, I found myself just instantly getting sucked in and being like, these characters are awesome. This movie is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then when the stuff hits the fan later on,
It's like
shocking.
fuck,
Yeah.
Yes.
Because by then you'd kind of forgotten, yeah, that's right. I am watching something that's under the horror genre tag.
And yeah, like just comparing this to other Western horror movies, like Near Dark,
Which we love.
which I absolutely love. And Near Dark has Western elements.
Yeah, it's a
but
modern
a
Western.
horror movie for sure. Same with From Dusk Till Dawn, we just talked about. From Dusk Till Dawn, it definitely hits Western tropes and hits horror tropes, but it seems almost even more like a modern, more Tarantino Rodriguez movie than a Western. Mm-hmm. I would say the only other horror Western that I can think of that really hits a lot of the Western tropes is Ravenous with Guy Pearce from 1999.
I have heard so many times that movie is the shit, and I didn't know that it was a Western.
Yeah, it fits more into that, going over the Rockies type of Western, or soldiers in the Rockies specifically.
Okay.
But think of things like the Donner Party and stuff like that. Like when you think of those tales, it doesn't immediately scream to you Western because of the snow, but still Western.
Yeah. Well, same with Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight, covered in snow
too. Yeah, I really need to watch Ravenous. I've heard
Ravenous
that's
is good, and
awesome.
that's one that has been recommended so many times. So we'll get to it. We both are interested. I've seen it and really enjoyed it.
Well, part of the reason that I was so drawn into this movie from the get-go, even though it wasn't tickling my horror fancies, is because the cast is so goddamn good.
Let's talk about them. We
Oh my
of
God.
course, Kurt Russell. We've let everyone know that we're madly in love with Kurt Russell.
Obviously.
Every time we cover a movie with him in it.
There's that thing that people say where they're like, if I meet somebody that doesn't like dogs, I don't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I think the true litmus test is if you meet somebody that doesn't like Kurt Russell, you can't trust that person.
Yeah, you can't try because
You can't trust
why? How do you not? Like the man has been in so much stuff. You can't tell me. There's no way you can tell me at least one of those things.
Yeah.
You don't go, man, Kurt Russell. I really
There's a
like
Kurt
him.
Russell movie, I think, for everybody.
Sure,
You
there
know?
definitely is.
Like whatever kind of movie it is that you
Yeah.
want to see, he's probably been in it, and you probably fucking loved him.
You think you don't like any Kurt Russell movies? Fox and the Hound. Boom. Mic drop.
God damn, he is in that, isn't he?
That's right. You don't like Kurt Russell movies? Forrest Gump. He played Elvis uncredited.
Bullshit.
Mic drop. Yeah.
What?
Did it uncredited. Big ass star, and he was like,
I had no
I'll do it.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fucking cool.
And he played
man.
Elvis in that biopic, which was like, that wasn't, I mean, that was the John Carpenter directed Elvis
Yeah, I
biopic
need
with
to
Kurt
see
Russell.
that
I need
shit.
to watch this.
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell had been in stuff forever up to that point, but I think that was like his star moment where he really got recognized. And I think maybe when they were doing Forrest Gump, he was like, I'd kind of like to just
I had
be
that
Elvis
costume in
again for a
mothballs.
second. Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you?
It'd be fun.
If you can be Elvis, you should probably be him. And he plays Sheriff Hunt, who is, he's not like a grizzled, jaded piece of shit or anything like that.
He's sharp.
He's seen some shit.
He doesn't react. You don't get much out of him.
Very cool.
He sees what's going on and he makes some decisions.
Yeah, you kind of get the impression that like he's sort of seen pretty much everything already. I mean, whenever he's talking to David Arquette in the bar and he's like, if you move, I will shoot you. Yeah. And then he starts to resist and just immediately caps him in the leg. It's like he's done this a million times.
You gotta understand, like the running joke about him shooting people in the leg being a hobby. Like, shooting someone in the leg, that is the most difficult shot to make.
It's a very narrow target.
It's very narrow, and you're probably shooting them in the leg because they're running.
Yeah. Oh, it's true.
And he's able to do it. So what that running joke is telling us is that he's a sharpshooter.
I love he
can fucking hit it if he tries.
After he shoots David Arquette in the leg, and they send Matthew Fox, is that his name?
Matthew Fox.
They send him out to get a doctor, and Sam answers the door, and she's like, "Can I help you?" or whatever, and he's like, "Sheriff needs a bullet removed," and she's like, "From the leg," and he's like, "From the leg again." It's like, this is just routine.
He's routine. He can do it every single time, and that's how he does it. He doesn't try to kill people. He tries to stop them from running.
Yeah.
He's a man of justice. He's also a man who's dedicated to his wife. We see that actually with our three main characters, other than Matthew Fox, the fourth main. They're all dedicated to their wives, and that's how we know they're good men.
Which is also, and we'll talk about women's roles and stuff more as we go into this movie, but I thought that was kind of a cool aspect to add in. I mean, considering a lot of Westerns, like, the women are just, floozies and prostitutes and stuff a lot of the times.
And in this, of course, Samantha, she's very much capable and speaks her mind.
Extremely,
and stuff, which is actually more accurate to the West. Women were much... I think
everybody had to be hard-assed, dude.
Yeah, I was about to say women were freer. They weren't freer, but they were freer with their mouths and their thoughts. They were able to say, and because like on a wagon train or in this new ranch you're trying to establish or whatever, somebody could die at a moment, and you still need another person to step up. If there's a woman there, she's stepping up to do it. Like, it's not going to be this, well, no, Missy, we'll go get a man to do that work.
I'm feeling the vapors upon me. Bring out the smelling salts.
You get a lot of that in the 30s and through the 50s Westerns. I think around the 70s, they started revolutionizing and saying, like, well, like, Native Americans weren't always the bad guy, and it wasn't always this, like, very obvious who the bad guy is, and you start to get more into what I think Western is brilliant about Westerns is two shades of gray against each other. Where you're like, man, that villain, I kind of get what he's up to. Like, I kind of get him. I kind of understand what he's like. In Tombstone, for instance. Yeah, those villains, they're villains. They're assholes. But also, like, they're trying to protect each other. So there's like some understanding as to why they're doing what they're doing, rather than just being savages or outlaws.
Well, and the guy in the movie that I think plays that moral ambiguity so well is fucking Matthew Fox, dude, as a Brooder.
Yeah, Brooder. He's playing the dandy character, kind of.
Dude, I love the term dandy.
Yeah, dandy.
I love it so much. It amuses me, and I don't really know why. Yeah, he's kind of the traveled, affluent.
We know at least he's been to Germany.
Yeah, he seems wealthy, and he seems like he has an education and stuff.
Yeah.
But he is also a fucking badass.
He's a pure badass. He wears the white hat, which in the traditional Western sense means he's the good guy.
Right. But he's also rides a white horse like death. That's what my wife told me. She knows about Westerns and stuff.
Yeah, he's riding the pale horse, just like Johnny Ringo in Tombstone.
Right. Yeah.
He is a play with those tropes where he is the dandy, but he's really good with a gun. But he's not after a particular woman. He's sort of riding a line of the idea of the Western chivalry that you sort of see in a lot of Westerns, where he speaks his mind and says some things that are controversial and sometimes mean, basically.
Well, and sometimes it's pretty racist.
Yeah. Well, he hates Native Americans because they killed his mom and his sister.
Yeah.
When he was little, and he I guess by the end of this has killed 117 Native Americans, and he's proud of it. And some of them were women and children.
He trained his horse to be racist.
His horse, it's true.
I mean, that's just fucking crazy.
Well, basically, no. I mean, because we'll talk about what was going on there. We'll be talking a bit about race too, but he says that she's loyal, not that. He does say something racist.
Yeah, he's like, she's too smart to let a greasy Mexican ride off with her.
Yeah, he says
something.
something racist, but he's saying no, that she's loyal to him. She wouldn't go with anybody, but he still has to be racist because that's his character. He rides the line. We can root for him, but also dislike him.
But then that's the thing is, he has that moment where he just pretty unprovoked just shoots those two dudes that creep up on him in the middle of the night. And especially Chicory is like super pissed.
Yeah,
he's like, you shouldn't have killed those people. And he's like, they were part of a riding party that was going to come and ambush us and take our shit.
Yeah, and
then he turns out to be right.
He was absolutely right, but like he could have been wrong. Yeah. And that's the thing that the sheriff says, basically, is that, like, I don't know how that would have went when later Arthur is, real pissed at him because he's saying you can't go along with us. He says about that moment, I don't know how that would have went. And he's right. Like, maybe he doesn't kill those two and they're not involved in that raiding party that comes later and everything would have been better off. But probably not. Yeah. They were probably exactly what he said, scouts for a raiding party, because they got raided after that.
Yeah. I love his manner of speaking.
Yeah.
In this movie.
He's a little more eloquent, a little bit smarter. But that's the thing, though, is that when you listen to the sheriff, he's just as smart, but he doesn't show it. Like, he doesn't use
the flowery language.
Yeah, he doesn't need that to feel comfortable with himself, whereas Bruder does. And right. I mean, the name, we got, you said, what was his name? Sheriff Hunt?
Oh, yeah.
And he hunts, obviously. He's hunting the outlaws.
Bruder's very brooding.
Yeah, he's always got, he's sitting on, like, every time they camp, he's off, away from them, by himself, away from the fire, brooding, thinking. He's got so much on his mind, and that's what attracts us to him. That he not only is this cold-blooded killer, but he thinks about it, so we know he's not that. We know that he probably does feel bad about having to kill women and children, but he also accepts it about himself.
Dude, that scene where it's one of their first nights camping and he's laying on his little blanket over there by himself and he's reading a book, and then within like half a second is sitting up and shooting while still holding his book.
It hits the target.
It's so fucking badass. Yeah. And he's got that thing where he's talking about, like, he sets up that line of like bells around the perimeter, and he's like, if you hear a noise, shoot, but I'll probably already have hit them before you do. But you should go ahead and do it anyway.
That's where Chicory has to be like, you got to respect the law.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he knows exactly what they need to do. He's the most capable man in the group for this particular situation.
Yeah.
So it's lucky he's with them.
Yeah, definitely. And his manner of speaking and stuff just really reminds me a lot of like Val Kilmer in Tombstone.
Yes. Doc Holliday, he was an educated man. He spoke other languages and things like that. He read a lot and also was a cowboy. That was a truth in the Wild West. It wasn't just what you see in a lot of Westerns where it's just raucous and wild and one man comes in and tames it or whatever. Mm-hmm. The true Old West was full of different types of people, and there were intelligent people who were out there doing things that you don't expect intelligent people to be doing, but they were trying to make their way. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about Westerns, is that it's people trying to make their way against all odds. And he's figured out a way to do that.
I think we've talked about Patrick Wilson before when we talked about The Conjuring.
Mm-hmm. Patrick Wilson's awesome. We'll talk about him again too, because he's
in a lot of stuff.
He's in so much stuff because he's amazing.
He's fantastic in this. He is fantastic, and his story is kind of the apex of what makes the story move, essentially, because it's his wife that gets kidnapped by these troglodytes. We come to find out, and so even though he's wounded and he's fallen off of this roof and he has his
went up
busted
to do
leg.
some roofing despite his wife telling him not to because he's hard-headed. We learned that about him, again, without anybody ever having to say it.
Yeah,
We
he
just see him
does
in the
stuff.
situations. The first thing we hear about him is that he broke his leg because he refused to listen to his wife about working on the roof in the rain.
Which goes to that thing where you could tell that, and we've talked about this with other movies that are very successful with the show don't tell mindset. It means that the guy that was making this movie had an idea of how intelligent his audience is and is like, they'll figure out that he's hard-headed if I show him this shit.
Yeah.
If you just have a little faith in the audience, you know, just to understand things about these characters by things that you're showing them.
Yeah, I'll talk more about S. Craig Zahler in a little bit, but I will say that it's what you're saying right now is very interesting in relation to the fact that before he started writing movies, he wrote novels.
Oh.
And he's got 5 rather successful novels, 2 of which are going to be turned into movies soon. So,
snap.
For a novel writer who needs to write as much as they can, but also needs to obey the show don't tell, it's amazing that he could adapt from writing in novels to writing screenplays so effectively.
Yeah, no doubt.
This screenplay, I don't think we get much exposition ever.
No, not really at all.
Yeah, we see the story develop, and then they go off to try to fix the situation.
Yeah. And Patrick Wilson in this is, like you said, just a very determined guy. I mean, he knows that he's going on this expedition in God knows what to fight monsters who have kidnapped his wife.
Yeah.
And even though he's walking on a crutch, he's like, well, I'm going. I mean, that scene whenever Kurt Russell comes to tell him the news that his wife's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to meet over at the saloon to talk about what to do.
He starts walking to the saloon.
Yeah.
Leaves his door open, leaves his shoes behind.
Yeah. I love that. Like, Kurt Russell just kind of stands there because, again, he's very level-headed.
Yep.
And he, like, calmly goes and closes the door.
Grabs his
collects
shoes.
his shoes. Follows him over there. I think he does, Patrick, that is, does an awesome job in this movie. I can't really fault anybody's acting in any of this, dude.
No.
Especially not the fucking jewel of the movie, Richard fucking Jenkins.
He's so good in it. I mean, he's so good. And we'll talk about Richard Jenkins definitely again in the future because he's in other horror movies, specifically Cabin in the Woods. But he is so good in this.
He's amazing. He is like, and not to say that the other people in the movie aren't to this level, but he is like a Coen Brothers character that snuck into this movie.
Yep.
He's great.
His outlook on the world is completely optimistic. He respects people, but he places the law above everything. He's got this great true optimism to him. And so he may respect Mr. Bruder, but when Mr. Bruder starts talking negative about the law, he's got to step in and say, no, you can't do that because the law is the law. Like, he's very straightforward, but he also just has this sort of whimsical quality to him where,
he's so lovable.
The story, the Flea Circus story, just like, that's so wacky, but it's also so perfect in that moment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And those kinds of character dynamics, I think, are what makes this movie so fucking good. It's the same thing that makes The Big Lebowski good, where when you watch The Big Lebowski, and it's like you have all these different kind of philosophies, so to speak, interacting with each other that are so drastically different. This movie is kind of the same deal, where it's like Chicory is definitely the optimist. Bruder is the guy that's pretty negative.
Yeah, he's the pessimist. He's cynical about the world for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And just seeing those two characters especially interact, I love. And it would have been so easy for Chicory to come across as just the lame, cheap, bumbling, comic relief
the
guy.
dumb deputy. But he's not. He's the one who catches the David Arquette. We find out his name is Purvis. That's
Purvis,
right. Yeah, that Purvis was he changed into some clothes and buried some stuff outside of town.
Right.
Like he was sharp. He was on it, even though he's older. So with him catching that really initiates almost all the action.
Right.
Because most likely David Arquette's character would have moved on from the town.
Yeah, he's just a drifter.
Yeah.
Right.
And they would have pursued him instead of coming to the town and then taking everybody they saw.
One of the things that I love about the movie especially is the relationship that Chicory and Hunt have
Yeah.
together, because even though Chicory is older than Hunt, they totally have this thing where like Chicory idolizes Hunt. Like
Yes,
Hunt is his
he
fucking
does.
hero.
Yeah.
And it reminds me so much of like a little brother and a big brother, where it's like my big brother could kick anybody's butt.
Yeah.
He's the smartest. Like he is constantly butting heads with Bruder to be like, you're not the smartest one here. Hunt's smarter than you. He is just all about him in this adorable puppy dog kind of way. But it never comes across as like pathetic or stupid.
I think he's seen this
He's
sheriff
a good man.
be a good man. Yeah, he knows it to be true, and he knows he's consistent, and that's the most true thing about the sheriff is consistency. He does not sway in anything. Like,
No, he's very black and white.
He's black and white. He's very he's respectful of all people unless they cross the law, in which case he then is a hard ass, and a badass, and one you don't want to cross.
And Chicory gives so much great comedic dialogue.
There are so many amazing lines in this.
Oh my god, dude! It's so quotable. It's so fucking quotable.
Yeah,
I love that scene where it's one of the first scenes we see with him. He walks in on Kurt Russell in his little cabin there, and he walks in and he's like, "Boy, that tea smells gruesome." He's like, "It's soup."
Yeah, it's soup. Oh boy, that smells good. Now that I know it's not tea.
It's not tea. It tastes like corn. It's corn chowder.
Oh, things are lining up. That's what he says. I love it.
Oh my god, dude. He is so fucking good in this. And like his mannerisms are so good too. Like it's not just that they wrote him funny lines and he said them and that's why they're funny. Like
no, he really embodies this character. Yeah.
And he's acting, I think, older than he really is.
Yes,
he's not a young guy.
He's not a young guy. He was more than like 51, I believe, when I looked it up. But like
he's playing older.
You see him in other stuff. He looks a lot younger than he does in this. Yeah.
Oh man, he just killed it. And if you don't know who Richard Jenkins is, you have seen him in like 100 things.
Oh yeah, you look him up. Look at his IMDb. First off, it's like over 100 titles, I believe.
Wow.
The guy has been in so much stuff.
Yeah, and he's consistently awesome. And those are kind of our main four hombres we spend most of the movie with. But like you said, we've also got David Arquette in here, who's looking grizzled and rough. He does a good job because he's not playing a like way over the top, turned up to 11 David Arquette character. Yeah. He's pretty subtle. He's pretty good.
And that the thing that's interesting about that is you see Sid Haig and you see David Arquette in the cold open. You assume, oh, okay, so one of these guys is our protagonist or our antagonist. Nope. The antagonist we do get introduced to in the cold open is the troglodyte that kills Sid Haig. And David Arquette's gone by the time they get to the cave later. Like, he's not even a main character. But his performance is great. Like he's barely in it, but he's like the catalyst for the action.
Sid Haig wasn't in the movie much, but
yeah, he says a lot.
He was entertaining. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
All that stuff, like whenever they're setting up those shots with them killing those people, and he's like, what's he say? There's 16 major arteries in the neck. You gotta
16 major veins and arteries in the neck. I had acquaintance with the man.
He had more blood in him than usual. He's like, they all got the same amount or whatever he says. It's very like Tarantino dialogue. To me.
Yeah, I agree.
Like just picking up with this scene where you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then it's just characters talking to each other. That's mostly Tarantino. You know, like that's something that you see in Reservoir Dogs.
Out of the ordinary happens.
Yeah. Sid Haig isn't in it much. And you know, one thing that's kind of funny is whenever I was watching the movie, I was like, man, are the costumes in this like really shitty? Because when it starts, like Sid Haig is wearing this coat that's like way too big for him. Like none of his clothes fit.
Yeah, because he stole all those clothes.
Exactly.
From people he murdered. Yeah.
It was one of those things that initially I was like, oh man, they didn't even fit his clothes. And I was like, oh, that they weren't supposed to, dummy. Right. But again, that's one of those things where if you have faith in your audience, they figure it out. And guess what? I was homeschooled and I figured it out.
Yeah. Nobody at any point says, those clothes are too big on you. Like, and he says, they are
That's
stolen.
because I stole them.
Yeah, like, you just have to gather from the little bits of information and infer some stuff. Yeah.
Now, this movie also has, in addition to Sid Haig, a bunch of other little parts by people that you didn't know were in this movie. Like, I had no clue while I was watching it until after the movie. I went and checked out like the IMDb and shit. And I realized this movie is covered in little bit parts by gigantic people from some of my favorite fucking movies.
Sean Young from Blade Runner and tons of other stuff.
Yeah, dude.
She had a little comeback in around 2015. She was in a movie called Jugface, which I love.
Oh, you've talked about that.
Yeah.
She's in that.
She's in that.
I had no idea.
She was also in a movie called Darling, which I love. She appears in this so briefly.
She's the mayor's wife.
The mayor's wife, who you learn so much in that conversation.
Yeah.
That basically nobody respects the mayor. She's running the city because
Everybody
the
knows
sheriff doesn't talk to the mayor. He talks to her.
Yeah, dude.
He never turns to him for a second.
I love it.
It's amazing.
And even she's like, if you're speaking to the mayor, you'll address the mayor, and he continues talking to her.
Because
even
he
when
knows
he's walking
she's the
off.
one who makes the decision. The mayor, by the way, was Corey Feldman's frog brother in
Alan Frog
in
from the Lost Boys, dude.
Lost Boys, sorry, yeah.
What the hell? Like, I had no clue that was him.
Yeah. Piano player, that is the principal from Back to the Future.
That blew my mind. I had no fucking clue. What's his name? Like James Tolkien or something like
James
that?
Tolkien. We got them. Then we have Michael Paré, who has been in a ton of stuff. He's just the guy who comes in and starts talking about his horses. And the sheriff says, man, I love this line. Ask about horses again, I'll slap you red.
Slap you red.
Yeah. And then also, the professor in this is played by Zahn McClarnon, who is also in Fargo Season 2, which one of the best seasons of TV. Also has Patrick Wilson in it. He is also in some other stuff you may have seen. Most recently, he was in something recently.
Yeah?
And you'd all go, I know that thing.
That's the thing
Westworld
I know.
Season 2. That was it.
Oh, okay, there
he was
it
in
is.
Westworld Season 2. He's great. Awesome guy. He's been around since the 90s.
I wish he was in this more. Like, whenever
Yes.
they introduced him at the saloon, I was thinking like he would go out and, play the role of the guy that knows the lands and helps track where they're going.
But
and shit
no,
like
he's
that.
not interested in
Yeah,
all
he's
that,
like, I'm
'cause
not
he knows
going out
where
there.
they're going.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to die. I'm not
Yeah.
going out there.
He was so good. Fargo Season 2 is amazing, and he's one of the best parts of it. But
Man, I still need to watch that fucking Fargo.
it's so good.
I've heard that it's so fucking amazing, man.
So there's all these great names because essentially let's just get into production for a second.
Okay, now before I do that, Steve,
We're going to break open another
I'm sorry. I just have to whet my whistle a little bit before I get into these production things. I got to produce a beer in a glass.
Oh,
That's what I need to do. And you know what we're going to have right here, Steve?
Tell me all about it.
We're going to have a little beer from Trim Tab Brewing in Alabama. Trim Tab, baby. Trim Tab makes amazing shit.
Yeah, they
I'm
really
so
do.
excited to try this. This is their Citra Singularity.
Okay.
It is
only Citra hops, I assume?
hazy double IPA. Yeah, it's a single hop IPA as far as I know.
Wow.
8%er.
Oh.
I'm stoked because their other stuff that we've had on the show has been amazing. They do great versions of honestly pretty much everything. I've had some of their sours and stuff. All their IPAs are amazing. Their stouts. We had that. What was that one? That maple donut.
Oh yeah, the donut
coffee.
one.
Fuck, that was amazing. It tasted like a maple donut and coffee and
It was
beer.
amazing. Yeah.
God, it was
That
so
was
good.
Maybe a month ago we had that. That was so
Now we
good.
did it on the Mother episode.
Oh
That's been
wow,
a
so
minute.
like a few months.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this out here. It should be pretty amazing. It looks like a glass of pineapple juice, as a lot of my favorite IPAs tend to do.
Oh yeah.
Quite cloudy and
We got
nasty
some
looking.
floaties in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's some floating bits. Ooh, a delicious aroma.
Yeah, that's
wafts off the top of
very
this.
citrusy.
I can already tell you this is something that I'm going to love
Let's
just
try
by
her
smelling
out.
it. It kind of smells like some of the stuff from like Burial over in Asheville, which is so good. What's that do for you? Does it do work?
Whoa.
Does that cut mud?
It do work for sure. That is different than I expected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It gets fruit punchy instead of citrusy after a bit.
Man, that is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kind of like pininess this has is like very Christmas tree-ish in the best way possible.
Yeah, and a pause. Yeah.
God, that's good.
I know nobody's wanted to bite into a Christmas tree. But
I have.
well, all right.
The lights, the smells, delicious. No, this is really fantastic. It is like a resiny, pineapple-y, funky. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, what was that Tropical Flare IPA we had? I can't remember who made that. That's been a month or so ago.
But it was
that
good.
Stuff was good too. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Damn it. That is fantastic. Yeah, if you guys can get Trim Tab wherever you may roam, you need to get you a pull of that right there. Wow. That's fantastic. I love it.
Highly recommended. Okay, so this movie, written and directed and co-scored by S. Craig Zahler.
Quit being talented and doing everything, dude.
So he's written 5 novels. Some of them have come out more recently, but his first one was, I believe, 2010. Included in those novels is Mean Business on North Garson Street, which is currently being made into a film, or in pre-production. It's going to star Leonardo DiCaprio and Jamie Foxx. So, pretty big deal.
Some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that tells you something, though. Is like, Bone Tomahawk is his first movie, right? Mm-hmm. And he managed to wrangle in that level of caliber of stars.
He wrote a movie in 2011. I can't remember what it was called, but it didn't do very well. But he came back with this. But he also wrote a book called Wraiths of the Broken Land, which is being made into a film with Ridley Scott set to direct. So
it'll probably be disappointing.
Well, it's written by Drew Goddard, who is pretty great. I mean, check out his IMDb. I think he's a good writer. I think he generally nails it. So
if somebody else is writing it and Ridley's making it look pretty, I'm okay with that.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm all right with it.
So this guy, he's at this point, he's at a precipice where he's going to become pretty big in Hollywood, especially if those 2 movies do well. Because this movie didn't do amazing, but this movie was never meant to be a theatrical release. They released it in limited theater, but released it same day to on-demand video. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of movies have started doing that, where it's just like they go into the theaters for the possibility of winning awards, but really they know what their money is going to come from rentals and from streams. You can't
get an Oscar if you're streaming.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So he's done this. He's also done Brawl in Cell Block 99, which I talked about, and Dragged Across Concrete. All of them have been critically lauded, but none of them have been huge releases. He's on the precipice, I think. Like, he's just at that level where he makes movies with big names. They all seem to like working with him, and people seem to love his movies. He's just that far away, basically, just right there from being big time Hollywood director.
I think that basically if he body slammed Andre at WrestleMania,
that'd be it.
He'd
that'd
break.
Put him over.
Yeah, he'd be over at that
point. It'd be fucking Zolamania. He also has some music going on the side. He's got a couple metal bands called.
Hell yeah!
He's got Charnel Valley, which I believe is black metal.
Black metal.
And Realm Builder, which is doom metal. So he plays the drums and writes and does vocals. So
badass.
The guy's all over the place. But essentially, he sold this, got the budget, and knew what he wanted to do was a quick 21-day filming schedule.
God
to
damn,
fit within the
short.
budget, and bring in veterans to nail it.
Man, sometimes I have to work up 21 days worth of prep before I grill a steak. Much less make a movie.
Aging it? That's not really work.
I'm doing research. I'm thinking about it. I'm preparing. I'm strategizing.
Gotcha.
This guy went out and made Bone Tomahawk in 21 days. Great googly moogly. Where was this filmed?
Malibu, California, and the Paramount Ranch. I imagine if you watch through some old westerns, you'll probably see the same sort of town set, which is on the Paramount Ranch.
Yeah, because it had that thing where it never really told you where it took place.
Yeah.
It never told you what year it was.
We just know that the name is Bright Hope. We don't know where it is in relation to anything else.
They never say what state it's in. Like, as far as the timeline goes, they talk about how Chicory amputated a guy's leg in the war.
Yeah, he fought in the Civil War, for sure.
But they don't say
which side he fought for.
Or when or anything like that. Just looking at it, though, I was thinking it must have been somewhere in California because it has that arid, dry thing going on, but there's also hills and rocks and stuff. So it's not Arizona, for example.
No, this is just Southern California. A lot of westerns. Like, they did a whole lot in, say, New Mexico, Utah, etc. But when they were really churning out westerns, they were doing them in Southern California because there was, you could drive to this place 20 miles outside of LA and boom, you're in the arid desert and it looks like, you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere if you shoot this way, but if you shot the other way, everybody would see the Pacific Coast Highway and the ocean. But like, that means you can go back home. You can go, like the actors can go to their house and stay instead of being out in the middle of Utah and, you know, having to stay out in the desert for a month to make a movie. And this, you know, you just go home at the end of the day. No big deal.
Sounds all right to me.
Yeah. So a lot of westerns ended up being shot in California, and the more recent ones, I think, predominantly, it seems like. Anyway, so they shot in 21 days.
Wow.
The majority of the shooting, of course, is just going to involve 4 actors. Most of it is the Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, and Richard Jenkins out in the middle of nowhere. The in-town stuff probably took them the first week, and they spent the last 2 weeks on the rest of it. Because that in-town stuff, like, you get Sean Young on set, but you only need her for, what, 5 lines? You know, you're paying a veteran actor to come in and nail it so that you can move on. Like, if she comes in, says those 5 lines in a couple takes and nails it, you just move on. You bring in a unknown actor that you're not positive can nail it, you might end up spending the whole day on these 5 lines, and that fucks up your 21-day shoot schedule.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you're working on that type of schedule, you have to have people on board. It's kind of like what we were talking about with Alien, where it's like, you need people that know what they're doing in that situation.
Because you're busy building sets. You're not, you can't have people screwing up. Yeah. The idea that Craig Zahler, like, he has so much going on in his past that he brought to this, and obviously seemed to know what he was doing immediately in getting into directing. I assume probably took a lot of good advice, but it's just an awesome premiere directorial debut, like, just amazing for him to come out and do this.
And the movie looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, so well shot, so perfectly. Like, the thing I really enjoyed about it was the sound, and that mostly the lack of sound.
Dude,
a lot of footfall and breathing.
I know, man. And there's even a comment where it's like Chicory's talking so much, and dude, Kurt Russell has so many good lines. He's like, can you not, what's he say? He's like, can you not close that aperture? He's like, well, I prefer it over the sound of men breathing and footsteps or whatever. And it's like, well, that's exactly
really all we're hearing. We're not hearing like a bunch of other like nature noises because they're out in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of nature.
Dude, the lack of soundtrack in this movie is so fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy, especially as a lover of all things musical, to think every moment needs to have soundtrack plastered over it to enhance the moment and all that. But with this movie, you realize, especially like during the really action-packed moments, or when some shit just kind of unexpectedly happens, like whenever they first get like fired on with arrows by the troglodytes, and it's out of nowhere.
Yes.
And there's no soundtrack. It puts you in the moment so much more.
Yeah, there's no escape.
Yeah.
Because with soundtrack, it reminds you you're in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if there's soundtrack there and it's like, you're like, oh, I'm watching a movie right now. The soundtrack is telling me this is the suspenseful part.
Instead, you're watching the sounds of Kurt Russell choking and a jawbone being put into his mouth.
Holy shit. Oh, yeah, and like dirt rustling around and sticks breaking and shit. It puts you in the moment with those characters when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
You know? It's so effective. But whenever there is soundtrack, it's very well used and doesn't really detract or distract. Except for that very last song that plays during the credits.
I didn't get to it.
No way.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't wait through the credits, man. There's like 7 minutes of credits.
There's a lot of credits at the end of it. Dude, during the credits, you are treated to... At first, it just sounds like dramatic Western music. And then the vocals start.
Oh, no.
And it's this mega operatic, "For men set out on the plains." It's ridiculous. It's like a story song.
That's just a throwback to old westerns.
Oh, dude, it's like mega silly. Like as soon as the credits started rolling and that started happening, I was like, what the fuck is this now?
And they walk across a desert together.
I mean, seriously, it really is that.
And fought troglodytes, only with more bubble in the throat.
It's so ridiculous. But yeah, I love what he did with the soundtrack in this. And like I said, the direction and cinematography are just gorgeous and put you right there in the moment.
Speaking on another production front, what do you think about how the troglodytes look?
I thought that the design of them was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I thought that it was awesome.
Just a utilization of bones, basically.
Yeah.
Like they don't gather anything. They just hunt and eat, and they use those bones bones and leather to basically cover their dicks.
Pretty much, that's it. And they have no language. There's no name for the tribe because they have no language.
They're just he calls them troglodytes because that means cave dweller. That's
exactly. Yeah. And here's the thing is, okay, at first, whenever I was watching this movie and I was like, okay, it's 2015, you can't really have natives portrayed as fucking Tonto anymore, for example.
This is one thing about this movie for sure is it tries to avoid the old pitfall of Native Americans versus white people.
Natives as savages and so
right,
on.
but it tries to then also say like, okay, yeah, Native Americans are not that, but this, whatever it is, like, I don't know if they are human or not.
Right, yeah.
They are that. They are the bloodthirsty savage that
primal
kills brutally and all the negative stuff you've been told about Native Americans. This is them. Like,
because they're lesser evolved humans. They're fucking cavemen. It's like I said, maybe they're not even humans at this point.
Yeah, I would say we gotta talk about their main difference between them and humans is that they have a thing in their throat. That I at first thought was an implant.
I did too.
But then watching it again, I noticed it's made of bone. White bone, meaning it grew in there and has not been exposed to sunlight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So they have a growth in their larynx.
Yeah, because bone exposed to sun turns more dark color.
Right. It actually comes out with what looks like teeth.
And whenever Patrick Wilson is like cutting it out of that dude's throat, like it's attached by tendons.
Yeah, it's attached to tendons and veins and stuff. He's got to pull all that off. And we know about them. They're not scientifically advanced. So how would they do the implant without killing every single baby that they had? So my assumption is that is
an evolutionarily developed trait.
So they're no longer human. That's the best way I can look at this as not racist. Now, it could be easily argued that a tribe that even the Native American character is disgusted by, that have darker skin than anybody else that we see, unless that's paint. I'm assuming they're supposed to be like coal black. Like
I thought they were like painted.
Yeah. To look at them and to compare them to natives, I mean, it seems like he's playing off of those old Native American tropes,
but also sidestepping it.
Yeah, he's also sidestepping it. So like, I'm not gonna jump in and defend him. He may have meant for it to be racist, but I don't think so. I don't
think so either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't think he meant for it to be any kind of racist commentary on Native Americans. But also at the same time, I don't think he was just doing the thing where you sidestep a racist trope in order to be woke.
Right. No, he's not. It is still light versus dark in a sense.
Well, I just think that it makes it interesting.
It does.
That it is cowboys versus fucking cave people.
Right.
Like, that's just cool on its own. Right. It's not just like, oh, wow, that's really neat. He managed to tell this story without being racist towards Native Americans. Right. It's like, no, that's actually just a cool premise. It is. Out here on these uncharted lands,
there
all the way out west in America.
Creatures.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, it's like, because that was the great unknown. You know, they were traveling further and further west for manifest destiny, which is mentioned in the movie.
Yeah.
And they had no idea what was out there. Maybe it's fucking inhuman cavemen, troglodytes, like, to me that's a cool way to not only again sidestep making Native Americans look savage or shitty, it's also just a cool thing to add into a Western.
And the one Native American we do see is called the Professor.
Yeah, literally the opposite of Tonto, which means
right.
idiot.
So he's educated. He's the one they go to for information, not just because he's Native, but because he knows about all of the area.
Yeah.
And he's able to give them the information, but also he tries to make a very clear delineation. They're not us. Like, they're not Native Americans. There's something different.
Yeah.
They're the product. He says they're a spoiled bloodline of cannibals who rape and eat their own mothers.
Yikes.
And we do see the two females that are there. They've cut off their arms and legs and blinded them with spikes and basically just keep them pregnant.
Yeah.
Which,
ooh, man, that is gruesomely fucked up.
To make it so that our heroes have women who are outspoken and our villains have women who are trapped in the home, legless and pregnant, that does seem to make a statement about what's good and what's bad.
Okay, that's interesting that you brought that up, and I'm glad that you did, because to me, one of the cool things about this being cowboys versus cavemen instead of cowboys and Indians that I think is really cool and really interesting is that, you know, this whole movie, like, while I'm watching this and I'm seeing how shitty it is to live in the Old West, and everybody seems so hard and everybody seems so cruel and so, like, I mean, Bruder doesn't even hesitate to fucking kill people.
No,
it's like, they might harm me, so I'm gonna kill them. Even Hunt, who is very rational and lawful, he immediately is pulling a gun on those people as soon as they come up.
Yeah.
Tells them to light a match so you can see their face. It's like, you're watching this and you're like, man, things were so hard, things were so cruel, things were so rough. And then they come face to face with what we used to be as cavemen.
Right.
And
These
it's like
very real savages.
Yeah.
They have no way of communicating other than screaming at each other.
Yeah, screeching and eating people and living in caves.
Yeah.
And it makes you go, well, at least we've moved on a little.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, as savage and as cruel as things used to be, they're still better than they used to be.
Right.
I think that's something they're trying to say.
It's always scary to me when you have those politicians that, like, Ted Cruz, for instance, is a real big fan of the Wild West.
Okay.
And you think about, have you ever seen any of Deadwood?
I've seen just like an episode or two.
I love
pretty
Deadwood.
Rough. Yeah.
It is rough. It is very rough. Ted Cruz does seem to me like he would fit in Deadwood as the weaselly politician.
That should be like
who
the
never
warning
gets
sign.
his own hands dirty. But that's like when Ted Cruz imagines himself in the Wild West. That's not how he imagines himself, but that's who he'd be.
When you're thinking about the person who you're about to vote for, you should just ask yourself, would they make sense as a politician on Deadwood? If the answer is yes, consider other options.
Yeah, for sure. If they're Al Swearingen, fucking don't vote for it. What? Though we do have a current Al Swearingen, so I don't know if he says motherfucker as much.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Cocksucker.
Yeah, cocksucker.
Oh man, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it shows that things have progressed a little.
Yeah,
and ultimately just shows just how savage mankind can be.
I think it's real interesting what you're saying, like this juxtaposition of two savageries. Like, from our perspective, they're savages, all of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's no way to live. But also to know that, like, that's a stepping stone on the way. You can't deny it. Like, the savagery that the Wild West has imposed on these people is not nearly as bad as the savagery that these cave-dwelling people would have had to have dealt with. And that's what's made them hard. Same with these people in this western town. What's made them hard is what they've had to deal with.
Yeah.
And it does kind of question then, you know, what good comes out of all this? Like, do we ever really get past that savagery? Do we ever drop that old caveman troglodyte within us?
Right.
Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. It's a major theme in the movie.
What do you think about the women of this movie? Obviously, like we said, the troglodyte woman scenario is just
it's very sad,
horrific and sad and awful. But I think that one thing about this movie that's cool is that the women in it are pretty badass.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
speak their mind.
I guess on paper you could say, well, ultimately, Sam is just a damsel in distress that they have to go save.
But she's not.
Well, but also the deputy sheriff, Nick, got kidnapped, too.
And he's in worse shape than she is.
Oh, my God. And
Yeah,
we'll talk about what happens to him.
Right.
Woo, my goodness.
Now, there is an indication, again, because this movie doesn't come out and say these things, there is an indication that she was raped by them. And that's what's happening, I think, when he asks her how many there are, and she seems to sort of lock up.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but she does know how many there are.
She's counting how many have raped her, basically.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That's maybe there, but maybe not. Maybe
she's just been watching.
And she's just been watching, maybe. But beyond that, she speaks her mind. She is capable as well, because the doctor's drunk and she's the one they go to when the doctor's drunk to fix people up. She knows how to do these things.
Yeah, like she is obviously probably the most capable doctor in town, because the one that they call the doctor is just a fucking drunk all the time.
And whenever the sheriff tells her that Arthur is on his way, she is disappointed to hear that, meaning she wasn't expecting him to come and save her, because she worries about him as well. She doesn't want him to come into this and get murdered. So she's not a damsel in distress yelling help. She's a woman who is in this terrible situation that has accepted her fate and hopes it doesn't happen to her husband.
So it's kind of a lot of people treating each other as equals and not, oh, my Prince Charming.
Right. Now, we see the sheriff and his wife. There's a little more maybe like,
I have to do this because it's my job.
And she doesn't want him to go, but he doesn't meet her halfway on that. He's just like, no, this is my job. This is what I got to do. And so she's not shown as being particularly strong or weak. She's just, her character's not fleshed out enough for us to know much, except that he loves her and she loves him.
Yeah, and I think too that's not to show his dominance over his wife. I think that's to show his commitment to the law.
Right. There's no
my
questioning
job. If I don't do it, nobody
Yeah.
else will.
Yeah.
And I'm the sheriff, so I have to go and do this.
And then we have Sean Young, who obviously is the mayor of the town, and her husband gets the title. So she's supposed to be a badass. And I don't think in any way it indicates that she's maybe looked down on by everybody for being domineering with her husband, because the sheriff doesn't seem to have any sort of disgust with her or anything. He just knows she's the one who's in charge, and she's the one he needs to talk to.
Yeah.
Because he needs to get this done now. It's not about politics, it's about getting something done, and she's the one you go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's like a super mega strong female movie.
No.
But also it would have been unrealistic and not accurate for the time period if they had fucking Megan Fox set out on this trip with them wearing Daisy Dukes and a red cowboy hat. That would also have been period inappropriate.
Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of like what you said earlier. It's like it showed that women during this time weren't just, damsels in distress.
Right. But there were still some clear delineations. Like women were still wearing these uncomfortable dresses.
Yeah, and she's not the doc. She's the one that calling the doc is drunk, even though she's clearly
they
more
don't
capable.
call her doc. Yeah, exactly. Though they should. She does all the work that this person they do call doc does, and all he does is drink all the time.
Now, is this a horror movie?
Now
this is up for debate.
That's the big debate, I would guess, about this. Here's my primary argument for why this is a horror movie.
Okay.
It is because this movie has an ending that cannot be declared a Western. This is not something you would see in a Western.
Okay, how do you mean?
You may hear of Native American savagery, and you may hear of these people doing terrible things, but it's always implied. It's always talked about, and it's never shown.
Boy, does that ever show it here.
Boy, is it shown. Yeah. It's shown very brutally, and that is more of a more modern horror thing of showing the brutality. I mean, you even see it in Tombstone with the way tuberculosis is taking Doc Holliday. you see some of that brutality and whatnot, but what you don't see is a lot of scalping and stuff. We do see that in, say, Kevin Costner. We talked about it a little bit.
Oh, Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves. You see a little bit of that, but it's also like it tries to show both sides. Like this tribe is also good, and there's a lot to learn from them and stuff. In this case, there's none of that. Like this is this monstrous group that is inhuman, if I'm correct about the throat thing, inhuman and killing and eating people. It fits some Western narratives, but there was always delicacy about it, and this movie is not delicate.
No.
It shows the brutality in the end.
Uncompromising brutality.
And they're monsters, which I think is the big thing that changes it into horror, is that if they were just a native tribe that, like, you know, was no different than another tribe, this would be just a Western.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And, you know, again, I was expecting more of these supernatural elements and stuff, which would lend itself to being horror. And whenever you hear the first troglodyte make that, like, shrieking whale kind of noise, I was like, oh, it's like some kind of demon or something. It had me thinking, it's like, okay, this is going to have some more typical horror kind of tropes in it. Turns out, no, they're just kind of cavemen.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. Like, I was never really all that scared during this movie.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of other horror tropes going for it other than it has some gore.
Yeah.
Like what horror movies do. I just don't know if it's really necessarily horror. Like, it's a really brutal, visceral Western, but I don't know if I would necessarily call it horror. I don't know, man.
Here's what I'll say about Western horrors is that it seems to me that aside from the burrowers, Western horror is about the horror of cannibalism. Near Dark, vampires are cannibals.
Ravenous is about cannibals too.
Ravenous, about cannibals. This is about cannibals. Cannibalism was the most horrific potential reality in the West.
And ultimately what it comes down to is, what will you do to survive?
Right. What will you do to survive?
Yeah, how do you survive out here is ultimately the horror of cannibalism.
This looks at the major horrors. Cannibalism, the worry of being killed by a Native American tribe.
The unknown.
Right, and the worry of your women being taken by ne'er-do-wells. Like, it hits all the big, scary parts about being in the West, but I think the element that tips it over is that the creatures are creatures and not human. But they are human in some way. They're more human than human.
Oh. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's what he was trying to imitate. He must have run into them and he was like, they do a thing with their throat. Yeah. Like, kind of like that. But
dude, when it gets brutal, it gets brutal as fuck.
Yeah. A man gets scalped and then bisected long ways.
Cleft in twain in the common tongue,
from
we call
the
it.
Crotch to the head.
Holy fucking shit, man.
While still alive.
It is so rough, man. And there's not really any cuts. The camera angle doesn't really change.
No, yeah, they do a really good job with that.
They start sawing at that scalp, and that thing comes off. They shove it in his mouth.
And then spike it. I guess they just nail a spike into a soft palate.
They like spiking stuff over there.
They do.
And then they put him in that headstand position.
Yeah.
Chop him down between the leg regions.
Chop that big boy down, yeah.
And then they pull him apart, and his guts all fall out.
Then later they cut open the sheriff and shove a
steaming hot flask.
A steaming hot flask into him that he can't pull out because it's too hot.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean...
Now that's what I call a hot toddy.
Yeah. Those things are pretty horrific, but most of the deaths are just gunshots.
Did you think it was excessive?
No, because those types of deaths were potentials among some native tribes in Central and South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be killed that way.
I never
Scalping was very common.
Oh, extremely common. Yeah. Like, I never really got the feeling, even though that particular scene with Nick, I think is his name, is extremely, extremely brutal, and again, just stays on him the whole time. Doesn't really leave anything to the imagination. I still didn't really feel like it was just torture porn. Like,
No.
I never got the feeling that, like,
it goes real quick too.
it does. It doesn't last long.
Yeah, they're doing it efficiently. I mean, that's
practiced.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna do with some meat you got. You're gonna gut it, slice it, and then you're gonna hang it.
Yeah, chew on that leg a little bit.
Chew on that leg a little bit a little later. Yeah.
But by comparison, last year in the Terrifier, is that what it's called?
Right.
We had a woman that got cleft in twain at about the same way. And in that movie, I was like, this is just really excessive. Like, that movie is very excessive.
It is,
violent.
and they're going for that. That's what they're really aiming for, is the excess of horror.
And I didn't really get that feeling.
No, it didn't seem excessive.
This. To me, it just kind of like, it made it very real that, like, this is how savage these fucking people are. It made the stakes real.
Yes. That is something I actually like a lot more, because with, say, the Terrifier, you're constantly being reminded. I mean, first off, by the fact that there's a guy in clown makeup, but by everything else going on in the movie, you're constantly being reminded it's a movie.
Yeah,
and
totally.
This movie, you can really get into it and be a part of it, and those moments can be more visceral and real without doing quite as much. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love too with this movie how the onset of the violent scenes is just so sudden and shocking. And again, that goes back to no soundtrack and stuff. Like that scene where they're all about up on the troglodyte cave, and that's where Brooder gets like his hand cut off. They all get hit by arrows. Chicory gets like a rock thrown at his head.
Mm-hmm. He's got in his skull is exposed for the rest of the movie.
And it looks great.
It
great
does.
appliance
It looks really good
and stuff.
makeup.
Looks really good. That to me just shows how during that time, if you were out there and you're out on the plains and you were dealing with these, places you've never been, you don't know the terrain, you don't know who's going to be around any corner, how quickly things can change. I mean, Brooder, the whole movie has just been a complete badass sharpshooter, like Jaime Lannister, invincible cat, and then he gets Jaime Lannister. His fucking hand gets cut off.
Exactly Jaime Lannister, and he also wants to have his brave, take out all the last guy's moment, but then he just gets his head chopped in with a tomahawk. He does take that guy out, but that's it. He doesn't get to use that dynamite to blow them all up like he wants to.
But I love that just shows how, even for the toughest of the tough, like, all that it takes is one instant and you're fucked.
Nobody is immune.
No.
Yeah.
There is no buildup. There is no that slow degradation of, oh man, I think maybe he's going to die. Okay, he died. It's like, no, one wrong decision in a split second, you are fucking toast.
And it also kind of justifies Brooder's earlier actions in shooting the Mexicans that come up.
Yeah, shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah, because you don't. It is such a tiny, microscopic. Am I going to become friends with these guys, or are they going to murder me in my sleep? He's of the mind they'll probably try to murder me in my sleep. Yeah.
Dude, one of the things in the movie that made me squirm the most on the brutality side is just knowing that Patrick Wilson was walking around with that splint on his leg.
Ooh.
And like every time he steps in a pothole, I'm just like, oh god, like my fucking toes curled. Like,
I've never broken a bone, and that grosses like it.
It's rough. Yeah,
it's real rough. And he keeps basically re-breaking it.
Oh, it's just awful.
It's awful.
It is just awful, man.
Even at the end of this movie, like, this movie has a somewhat happy ending, but it also has that similar ending to a lot of westerns of like, like that bit is done, but now they have to get back.
Okay, so here's the thing that I was wanting to ask you about, because I'm glad you brought that particular thing up. In the movie, especially towards the third act, when we have Nick getting just butchered in front of Chicory and Hunt is like, the cavalry's coming, they're going to take care of all these bastards and stuff. And then Chicory's like, why'd you tell him that? And he's like, well, because if I was
what
going,
I'd want to hear.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
And then a little while later, we have Chicory talking about the flea circus. Yeah. And that's when Sam is like, I heard they used real fleas and stuff.
Yeah, she was trying. Yeah, that moment was a good turning point, because Sam had basically given up, and then seeing Chicory's optimism.
Yeah.
She wanted to preserve his innocence and optimism.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever at the end of the movie we've got Hunt who is, critically wounded.
Yeah.
And we know how many of the troglodytes are left. We know that he has a pistol, and he's going to try to take care of him because obviously these troglodytes know where the village is.
Yeah.
Well, not village, town. And they could come back and do more damage and stuff. He sends Chicory and, what's his name? Arthur.
Yeah, Arthur.
And Sam
Samantha,
out, and knowing that he's back there and he's going to die.
Yeah.
Trying to take care of these things.
There are 3 more left.
Do you think that those 3 shots that we hear as they're walking off,
Yeah.
do you think that was really him taking care of business and taking it the
I think
remainders?
they were him shooting, for sure.
But do you think that
The
it was just
first
him
2
trying to give that comfortable optimism?
I don't know, because the first 2 were grouped together, and then later there's a third. Maybe. What you get is Chicory's optimism. Basically, what that ending is a reminder to us of how optimistic Chicory is, because he hears that and he immediately is like confident that he shot all 3 of them. Drops his rock and just walks away. But we're not confident of that.
Yeah,
You have to believe it because you want it to be, but maybe.
Is it a message about having that kind of optimism, or is it a message of just because you think that the threat is eliminated?
Yeah, doesn't mean it's eliminated.
Yeah, maybe don't go putting down your rock. Because he
Right.
picked up that rock because he's like, I
Yeah.
might need to club some motherfucker on the way out of
Right.
here. He just hears 3 gunshots, assumes the sheriff that I venerate and worship took care of business and he killed these troglodytes.
Yeah.
I don't even need to hold this rock anymore.
Yeah,
and he throws it down.
It's both a triumphant moment
And cautionary.
if you're positive thinking type of person. You're like, oh, that's a nice ending. But if you have a more cynical mind like Mr. Bruder, like you and I, you're thinking, okay, even if he did shoot all 3 of them, along the way there,
Yeah, there's raiding parties. There's everything.
there was a raiding party.
Yeah.
Arthur basically has a terrible infection in his leg. They might have to cut it off on the way back. And then basically they have to carry him. He's bigger than both of them. Like, yeah, it's hard to be optimistic entirely in the end.
It's
But
a
Chicory
real
is.
glass half full, glass half empty
Yeah.
kind of ending to this movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think that the way that you feel about it kind of determines your outlook on life.
Yeah.
Are you like, yeah, he did it. He took care of the remaining ones. He doesn't even need to hold a rock
Right.
anymore. Or you're like, what an idiot.
Yeah, they might need that rock.
Yeah.
You guys should have probably searched around for some weapons and whatnot.
Man, and I love that line where Chicory's leaving Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell's like, tell my wife I said bye, I'll tell yours hello.
Yeah. Because his wife is dead.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the central thing that the way we connect to our main heroes is their love for their wives.
Yeah.
And Arthur is more newlywed, and he is just enamored with his wife. He says, she is my whole everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got the sheriff, who obviously loves his wife, and he cares about, even in his last moment of death, he wants to send some regards to his wife. And then you got Chicory, who goes every day to his wife's grave. Like,
Oh
these
man,
are
that scene of him putting
Yeah.
the flowers on her grave is brutal.
And that makes the most interesting moment in the movie for me is when Mr. Bruder says, I'm smarter than all 3 of you.
Yeah.
Because a smart man wouldn't get married.
Yeah.
And they all shut up. They all immediately are like, yeah. Because a smart man in the Wild West, dealing with all those things, knows that if you have a wife, you have a responsibility and a connection.
The connection's a weakness.
Yeah. And it's a weakness. So none of them will say, no, you're wrong. They agree, because yes, in this moment, it's probably very glaringly clear to them how dumb it was to give in and care so much about somebody else.
They know it's making them more vulnerable.
But they're also happier than he is.
Right.
Yeah, they have something to live for, whereas all he has to live for is revenge.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Pretty cool.
And that layer of vulnerability that you're talking about too is, I think, something that is really cool in this movie, and again, just doesn't seem like it's played up to be woke as fuck or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the dudes in this, even though they're so fucking hard ass and brutal at times, they all cry at some point during the movie.
Each one of them.
And it's all very, very believable and very natural, and doesn't just seem like, oh, they're trying to make cowboys into sissies and make them cry. Like, it's all very logical. Like, Patrick Wilson is saying that prayer for his wife, and he gets kind of worked up because he knows how desperate this entire situation is. It's cool to me. Even Bruder, when Bruder has to like shoot his horse, like he sheds a tear too.
Well, see, that's the thing that Bruder's always trying to avoid, and you see why he's trying to avoid it, because he cares deeply. So he has a connection with Mrs. Dwyer, where he tried to court her before.
Oh yeah, that's some cool subtext in the movie too.
And he feels a responsibility toward her just because he came and got her that night. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he cares so deeply that he can't let himself care.
Yeah.
Like, he has to stay detached from everything. Because, when his horse gets killed, he seems very devastated by it.
And that's something that I really like about this movie, too, as far as you saying that Bruder was the guy that went and got Sam to do this operation, which is why Sam got caught, which is why he has to go help her and stuff. There's this great line of cause and effect and setup and payoff in this movie where it's like, okay, if the doctor hadn't been drunk, then Sam wouldn't have gone.
Right.
If Sam wouldn't have gone, then they wouldn't have had that tincture of opium.
Right.
But the fact that Sam was the one that got called because the real doctor was drunk means that they ended up with her medicine bag, which had the tincture of opium.
Yeah.
Which they then fight over because they don't want Arthur getting addicted to that shit and falling off his horse and stuff. But then later on, that same tincture is what they use against the troglodytes.
Yeah.
Like, there's this great line of cause and effect where you realize, like, every little thing that happened continues to happen through the movie.
And the thing that basically would have changed everything is if Arthur didn't go, the people who would have went all still would have died. And then the troglodytes would come back to the town and kill everybody else.
Yeah.
The most unfortunate thing that happened is that now Arthur has to go despite his broken leg. But it's also the most fortunate thing that happened because it actually makes it possible for them to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of like holes in this movie. Mm-mm. The closest thing I could think of is, when he digs that throat bone out of that guy and is like, maybe I can use it as a whistle. That's a little bit of
that's a bit of a logical leap.
A little bit of a logical
But I
leap.
think also
how did he get up to the cave with his like broken leg?
He was crawling.
Jesus.
They did a good shot that kind of showed that where he was crawling, and then it just had a shot of like ahead of him, and you see how slow he's actually going.
Yeah.
You realize like this dude's fucking determined. Like,
wow.
So he crawls his way the whole way. I assume that like what I thought was the same as you, but watching it again, like I think the third time I was like, he needs to rest anyway. He sees this and he's like, what is that? And he cuts it out. Like, the fact that he figured out I need to put it in my mouth and blow on it, it's a bit of a leap, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll call them to me.
Right.
I can kill him and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't really question why he inspected it, but it is questionable as to why he realized, like, oh, that's how they make that noise.
I love, too, man, like, the sense of camaraderie and, like, brotherhood between those four dudes.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say brotherhood, like, just their sense of common decency towards each other.
True.
They didn't even hesitate for a second to be like, okay, Arthur, you're hobbling.
Yeah.
We're going to leave you behind. We're going to go on ahead of you. We'll leave you a pile of rocks to let you know, these 4 rocks in a row to let you know where we were, but we've got shit to do. We're going to go on ahead. And he's like, that's fine. I'll catch up to you guys while you sleep. But then at the same time, like, they didn't just look at him as like, oh, here's this fucking burden slowing us down. It's like, whenever he caught up to him, they had spread out a little bedroll for him. Yeah, they had filled his canteen.
And they put food in his squirrel bag while he was asleep.
Yeah, it's just like this common respect and decency to each other that I thought was cool.
They spend such minimal effort trying to convince him not to go because it seems like it's the sheriff's mentality of, I see that he is not going to be convinced and I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to make the best of it.
Fucking awesome character
movie.
dynamics, man.
Wonderful.
Really, really, really awesome. I can't complain about much. Like, as soon as I finished the movie last night, I was like, that could have been shorter. They could have cut some stuff out.
Yeah.
But then, it's like today I was thinking about it. And I was like, I don't really know what they could have, though. All of the stuff that you could say is just kind of killing time or just dialogue between characters or it's just them walking like Lord of the Rings style or whatever.
Yeah.
It was all things that drew me further into that world and made me care about those characters more.
I'm glad you said Lord of the Rings because that's what it reminded me a good bit of
Totally.
in the end was like, this is the Fellowship of the Ring. They make sure it happens. Like, they do what they can. And if they got to get separated, they'll get separated and hopefully get back together.
What the hell? Wait. This is really a lot like Lord of the Rings.
Like, Chicory is Samwise.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's
What?
a whole lot like Lord of the Rings. And they what are they called? The troglodytes. They even look like the Uruk-hai. Like,
What have we just done? We've cleft this movie in twain.
yeah, we finally did it. Take that, everybody.
Yeah, boom. This is Lord of the Rings. Anyway.
Yeah.
I really, really, really dig this movie. I will totally watch it again. Again, I can't really necessarily say it's a straight horror movie. I think that it's as much of a horror movie as it is a comedy.
Okay.
Because like ultimately, it's a Western. Yes.
Right.
Is it a comedy? I don't know. There's comedic elements. Is it a horror movie? I don't know. There's horror elements. It's a really interesting flick, man.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything that is its equal in terms of like what I would compare it to. Gorgeous movie, incredible acting, love the character interactions and stuff. Brutal,
Yes.
practical effects.
Yeah.
I really, really dug this movie.
Yeah, me
man.
too.
I think this to me, if I'm gonna kind of sum this thing up and give it a numerical rating,
Yeah.
that's probably gonna be like an 8 for me. I think.
All right, man.
It is. It's better than the average bear.
Well, I love Westerns, and this is very much one. And one of my favorites because it combines the elements of horror that I've always wanted to see done well in a Western while being very much a Western. You're not going to find a better cast for this. You're not going to see a better version of this, I would say.
That's a good way to put it.
There's not going to be. This also reminds me a bit of The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yes. Like to me, like this movie is if Cormac McCarthy wrote The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's essentially what this is.
And also reminds me X-Files episode Home from season 4, episode 2.
I haven't seen that.
It's the most brutal episode of X-Files. One of the best. And yeah, just watch it and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That this definitely takes some from that.
Is it a standalone episode?
It's a standalone. Yeah. Okay. You don't need to know anything about the story up to that point. It's a monster of the week. So it's got some of those elements, and I really dig what it's drawing from. Like the things that we keep saying that it's like, I'm like, yeah, great.
I love
more
those
of it.
things.
Yeah,
cool.
I like that. So more of that. So I love this movie, and I think an 8 is right for you.
Yeah.
I think a 9 is right for me because I got it for this Western that really just nails what I love about Westerns. I really dig this movie.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, I'm so glad to have covered this one because I've been wanting to watch it for a while now.
Yeah.
Exceeded expectations, man. Now, next week on the show, we're going to be talking about The Mist, which, as you said, is a Patreon submitted pick, which is really cool. I love doing these things, and I love that you guys are hearing what you guys want to hear out of the show. So one hand washes the other. Steve, where can they follow us on social media?
At Dead Lovely Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Dead and Lovely Pod, Bizcast, horror movie.
Yeah,
group.
that's the one.
Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast Group on Facebook. And at deadlovelypod@gmail.com. Wait, was that right?
I think
Dead
so.
and Lovely Pod @gmail.com.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult.
I know. Got a Discord. Find out all about that. We also have a Patreon.
Boom.
Go give some money. There are 3 levels there. If you donate on the $5 level, you get to submit a movie title that we will randomly draw from periodically. As we just said, we drew The Mist. Last month, we did 28 Days Later, They Live, Alien, and
Dead
Alive.
Dead Alive, that's the one.
We did all those on Patreon suggestions. So donate $5 a month and start deciding what we watch.
There you go. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to rate and review on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Those reviews really help us show up in the search engines and stuff. So please go ahead and submit your positive, glowing review today. Well, we'll be catching up with you guys next week when we talk about The Mist, which I'm excited about because I have never seen it, although I do know the ending. Ending's been spoiled.
Oh, that sucks.
I know.
All right.
But I love how grim it is. So I think
good.
I'll enjoy it when it gets there. So I'm okay with that. So we'll be talking about that next week. You guys be sure to tune in. You guys have been just damn rootin' and tootin', and we've been dead and lovely.
Cowboy Steve says goodbye.
Adios, amigo.
Gonna ride that old dusty trail.
Down the old town road.
Oh no.
Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight. So as we were sitting on the beach listening to my father-in-law's beach playlist, which is of course plenty of
the Eagles.
Well, you know what? Plenty of Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett. Okay, yeah.
Which, P.S., total tragedy that he has not opened a Jimmy Buffet anywhere in Margaritaville. P.S.
The Jimmy Buffet.
The Jimmy Buffet.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how to say it. It's like, is it called the Jimmy Buffett?
The Jimmy Buffett.
Is it the Jimmy Buffet?
What if it was the Jimmy Buffett buffet?
It's just spelled the same way twice.
Yeah, and it was like, oh shit.
Then just looks at people like, it's the Jimmy Buffett. Shit!
His middle name is Buffet.
Phoebe Buffet, Jimmy Buffett.
If Phoebe had married Jimmy Buffett, it would have been Phoebe Buffet.
And it would have been the greatest.
Yeah, it would have
been. So on his playlist, he's also got a lot of those classic, Bob Marley tunes and stuff.
Right, of course.
And one that started playing on there one day was a little Get Up, Stand Up.
Uh-huh.
And, it's the kind of thing where it's playing, it's all reggae-like and stuff. And the white people, they go crazy for it. They love
boy,
it.
They love it.
And I'm listening to this.
They feel closer to Jah.
Yeah, they feel closer to Jah.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, just kind of fucked up enough while I was sitting on there on the beach to like listen to it and be like, okay, this song is like a protest song.
Yeah.
It's like get up and fucking fight. It's like a Rage Against the Machine song, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
But now, like 30 or 40 years after the fact,
the people that it would have been raging against listen to it.
Yeah, and they're like, it reminds me of being on a beach. I love it.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're clapping their hands on 1 and 3 and stuff.
I don't really like when people protest. I love that Bob Marley.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little strange.
Bob Dylan's my favorite.
What?
White people are crazy.
White people are crazy, yes.